Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Market Open. It is Monday, June 23rd. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Today is going to be a very important Market Open because we have the first open after the United States strike on Iran. And there are going to be obviously various implications across oil prices, equity prices, and commodities in regards to how the market will be interpreting what happened last night or 2 nights ago. Now, last night on the futures, markets were relatively flat, didn't care too much. In the pre-markets, markets are still relatively flat and don't care that much. However, there are some individual names that are moving. Ironically, oil's actually down. Oil futures were up 2.5% last night. Right now, oil not struggling the way it was last night, so that is nice to see. But we will be looking at equity prices today and see if the market genuinely thinks that the escalation with the United States and Iran is going to be that big of a deal. Now, the big stock that is moving right now that I know everyone is looking at and is quite frankly either laughing at or you're sad about it is none other than Mr. Himmy Hims. That is down 25% in the pre-markets. I had some covered calls on him, so those will be up probably 100% today, 95% probably. But the stock itself is down. And although that's good for the covered calls, that is not good for the actual equity itself. 25%. What is going on with Himmy Hims? Who had Hims in the draft? Steve. Is not going to be helping Steve today, at least not today. Again, it's one day, but yeah, that's not the best for Hims. What is going on? Well, Novo Nordisk terminated their partnership with Hims. It's kind of incredible, dude. I didn't expect that this morning. Again, I'm not the biggest expert in the stock. A lot of you guys know a lot more than me about the nature of the partnership, the nature of the company, and why the partnership even matters to them. But Novo Nordisk is one of the largest pharmaceutical companies in the world, and them partnering with Hims a while ago obviously was seen as very bullish. And now that partnership is canceled. Now, what is the reasoning for the canceling? Well, the official press release that we have is Novo Nordisk terminates collaboration with Him and Hers Health due to concerns about their illegal mass compounding and deceptive marketing. I mean, it doesn't sound pretty. Now, granted, again, I am not the biggest expert on the intricacies of all of this deal itself and the nuances about it, but that itself is the logic that Novo Nordisk gave today for why they are canceling this deal. Now, one take that I saw today from someone who's been in Hims for a while said that Novo probably ended the partnership with Hims because they're receiving so many orders through Hims that they can't keep up with demand. They are thinking, look, people love our product Wegovy. Why should we give Hims a cut of our sales? We can sell to them ourselves. So they returned to selling Wegovy through NovoCare, its DTC online pharmacy. In a nutshell, back to square one for Novo Nordisk, which is obviously, the reason they partnered with Hims in the first place was to increase their sales. But if they're getting their sales already because they see the product has so much demand, they maybe don't need to go through Hims in and of itself. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but you do have a lot of people speculating why this is happening, how this is playing out, and obviously how aggressive this is currently on the stock. Now, the question to me as an investor is like, okay, so where does the stock go? Does this dip get eaten up easily at down 24%? Market cap's going to open at, what's the exact number? Let's do this math. I think it's going to be around 11 billion. It's going to be, basically 11 billion, 11.5 billion, a little bit less than that. I mean, for a company that's going to do what, $2.5 billion of revenue, growing 50%. I mean, that's obviously, one could argue, cheap. However, it comes back to the question, and this is something that Arnie posted over the weekend as well, which is, wait a second, is Hims just a marketing company? As you can see right there, green is their revenue, red is their marketing expenses. Hims and Hers spends about half of its revenue on marketing each year. This was kind of the argument that the bears make about the fact that it has no moat. I don't think that's the best argument in the world. But nonetheless, this is why the market can be incredibly volatile towards the stock in regards to saying, well, if their marketing costs go up or down, then that impacts their revenue, which means it's not really that exciting of a company to invest in that has the operating leverage to move at scale. Now, on top of that, you also got your boy Bank of America coming in that said, wait a second, let's have a little bit more fun with this one. Price target $28. They reiterate a sell on this stock. Their logic here is that their core year-over-year revenue growth dropped from 45% to 29% in first quarter 2025. Their true core growth estimates to be in a low 20% range outside of 2025. And then they say growth is likely to deaccelerate to the mid-teens, which would be horrendous for Hims, Yeah, I mean, like, that's just, if we get below 20%, that would not be good if they're correct about this by the second half of 2025, excluding any new products. So essentially Bank of America, which to be fair to him, Bank of America has been wrong for the past year. But if they are right about some of these growth estimates, then obviously that could have an impact on the stock as well. Granted, I think people would love to buy HIMS at 30 or 30 or below. I would definitely take advantage of that dip as well. But that combined with Novo Nordisk this morning, that is why the stock is down 25%. And at the same time, of course, is this getting a little ridiculous to everybody? This has got to be getting a little bit ridiculous to everybody. Circle is up another 5% in the pre-markets. It's up another 5%. I mean, this is just, it's becoming kind of insane at this point, but I guess this is how the market is treating it. Robinhood right here down about 1%. Palantir up a little bit, up 1%. Tessie, we'll talk more about Robotaxis later. That's up about 1.7%. NVIDIA 142. Again, HIM's the big loser today, down about 25%. We'll see if the market opens and that one continues to dump or pump. And then S&P 500, not really affected by what's going on geopolitically. That one is also okay. Now, we also have a bunch of other FinTwit stocks that are down. Oscar, down about 4% in the pre-markets. You got QBT, quantum computing, down 16%. I don't know why that's down, but that's down. That's affecting all the quantum names. D-Wave, down 4%. Rigetti and IONQ. Rigetti's down 4%, and then IONQ is also down about 3.25%. Lemonade right here, that one is slightly flat. Oscar and HIMS, the main ones that are getting hit currently right now. Where is UNH? HIMS right here down 24.7%. UNH down about 0.5% currently right now. So, yeah, this is pretty incredible. This is pretty incredible. Circle's actually up 2% right now. It was up 5%. Yeah, Circle was up 5%. It was at 255 when I woke up at around 6 a.m. Right now it's at 246. So that one's up about 2%. Oh, and then SMCI decided to do a convertible note offering for $2 billion. And, you know, again, convertible notes are fine. The question is, what are you going to do with the money and what's the coupon rate attached to it? That stock also down 3%, which is not that crazy for SMCI. But they are raising $2 billion, and that's probably going to let them expand their operations as well. So there we go. That's what we got. Here's the first question that I want to put in the chat, and then we'll get into all the macro stuff along with Tesla, which we had a pretty amazing Robotaxi event yesterday. Not going to be impacting the bottom line anytime soon, but it was incredible to kind of witness what the future is going to look like. Do you think HIMS has bottomed in the pre-market? I spelled bottom wrong, but it doesn't matter. Do you think HIMS is bottomed in the pre-market, aka 48 is the low for HIMS right now? And when we open in about 35 minutes, this will not be the same. Zeta, I'm still looking into this one. We talked about it a little bit last night. This thing is up 15%. Zeta is a marketing advertising tech company that deals with like automation and agentic workflows, particularly around branding and marketing services. I don't know enough about them, but for some reason, this stock has been gaining some momentum. So we'll try to look deeper into them. But that one right here is up 15% in the pre-markets. This is incredible, dude. I didn't expect them to. I didn't expect them to. Ryan, that's a funny comment. That's a funny comment, right? I didn't expect them to cancel their partnership with HIMS. It is weird though, right? Why? Why would they do that? Why would they? I guess they did that in the context of not wanting to associate their sales with the platform anymore. But the whole, like, if there's a lot of increased sales, you would think that's the reason for the partnership. But if they think there's too many sales coming from HIMS, then that might be undercutting their own margins. Or, you know, they might just not like HIMS as a partner for the past couple months, and that's why they decided it's time to move on. But that is kind of weird for that to play out. Yeah, Novo as well is down 7%. Novo as well is down 7% on the day as well. Where's AMD in the pre-markets? AMD, wow, AMD is up 2%. AMD is acting less like an advanced money destroyer right here. So AMD doing its thing. Okay, so we'll follow up with HIMS later. 67% of you say no, it is not bottomed in the pre-market. So you guys think there is a lot more down, or potentially more downside to come for this one. We will find out in about 35 minutes. This is the exciting part about the market, right? Like, you could have a thesis. I mean, dude, there are people that are, you know, much heavier in HIMS than the average person. I mean, there are some people that are 100% in HIMS, some people that are 30, 40% of their portfolio. Like, this is the risk of picking individual stocks. When you pick an individual stock, you are so dependent and contingent on that stock doing what you need it to do, or else the entire portfolio gets hit, which is quite frankly the reason why people invest in ETFs, because they just don't want to engage in the volatility of that. Speaking of picking individual stocks, I want to just show you guys this stat real quick, and then we're going to get into all the macro and Tesla stuff. Take a look at what Mark Andreessen posted yesterday on Twitter. He is one of the most famous VCs, venture capitalists in the world. This was incredibly interesting. So Hendrik Bessemder, a professor of finance at Arizona State University, has documented an extraordinary pattern of wealth creation in public equity markets. There's a new study that they put out recently. Nearly 60% of companies that have been public in the US over the last century, over the last 100 years, have failed to create value. And value is defined as earning total shareholder returns in excess of 1 month treasury bills. Pretty low bar for creating value. And only 2% of companies in the entire stock market in the United States that have been public were responsible for more than 90% of aggregate wealth creation. When I saw this yesterday, the major takeaway was this is why you solidify into your winners, because it is so hard to find a winner. It is so hard. It's just not easy, right? If you want to beat the S&P, if you want to beat the overall indices, you have to pick individual stocks. And to pick individual stocks, you simply have to pick winners. And you're not always going to pick a winner. But when you do find a winner and it gets a little bit of a premium from the market, if it's the one creating most of the value in the market in regards to shareholders, obviously the Mag 7 are the best examples of this, then you kind of lean in. And so Andreessen was saying right here, 60% of public companies destroy value, higher loss rate than top tier venture capital, which is pretty incredible because, again, people say venture capital is risky. It's like, all right, you're betting in 100 companies, 99 go to zero, but the one that wins, you're hoping for it to be the next Google, which is obviously a risky game. But in the stock market, he's basically saying it's kind of the same. Like you pick 10 stocks, 6 out of 10 of them are just not going to do that well, which means the last 4 hopefully are the ones that are going to win. And if they don't end up winning, then you probably don't end up getting the value creation that you think you can get. So again, it's a risky game of picking stocks. All of us as retail investors have been trying to navigate this game. I would say, for a long time, but really over the past 5 years has retail investing become a serious phenomenon that is taking place. And retail investors have done well. Obviously, we've been in a pretty strong bull market, but it is definitely not an easy thing to do. And you're going to get some things wrong. You're going to have to navigate the macro uncertainties of dealing with picking stocks. Just like today, you think your thesis on HIMSS is fully intact, $65, you're ready to go. It's up 100% for the year. And then boom, something slaps you in the face. And then, you have to deal with a 25% decline. Nonetheless, if it is a good company, it will weather the storm. But this is why picking good companies is just so hard to do. Okay, so let's talk about some stuff going on in the context of macro. Let's do Tesla real quick. Tesla, big event yesterday. Incredible stuff. I'm sure a lot of people have seen some of the videos, but the Robotaxi is officially here. It is live. The app has come out. People have engaged in multiple Robotaxi rides. Tesla invited a ton of their kind of influencers to Austin to engage in all these rides. And as you can see right here, it's a real Robotaxi doing its thing. And it is driving in a geofenced area. There was someone sitting in the passenger seat just in case anything happened. And it was just pretty incredible to see all this play out. It was pretty incredible to see all this play out. Here's what the app looks like. Very similar to Uber, but obviously there's not a driver. A lot more sleek and less burdensome of having to deal with the driver themselves. But this is what it looks like the future will be in the coming years. Now, I showed a bunch of bullish videos on the Robotaxi yesterday. One bearish video that I do want to show because you got to show both sides is this video that was posted where there was a little bit of jerky steering. Right here, you can see it's going to try to make a left, and then it's not really going to make it, and the thing's going to go back and forth. There's the wheel right there. It wants to make a left, and it doesn't. Then it's confused, then it goes straight. So that was the first video I saw that was like an actual bad part or like an actual flaw, because it looked like it wanted to make a left, but I guess it kind of messed up in the moment of making it. Obviously, it's not going to be perfect across the board. Waymo has mistakes as well. This stuff is bound to happen. But nonetheless, it's not like every little detail of it was perfect. But I think a decent chunk of the event yesterday went very well, given it was geofenced. And, there were only about 35 Robotaxis that were actually out there picking up people. So nonetheless, I think it was an incredible event. It was awesome. I don't know if the stock necessarily is going to pump off this. Tesla right here at 326 is up about 1.43%. Q2 is still going to suck. We know Q2 is going to suck. I think the hype of Robotaxi is enough to make Q2 numbers cushioned by the fact that people are literally looking at the future and they're seeing what's happening. They believe so much in the potential of it. And now 10 years after Elon's been promising it every single year, it is finally here. Even if it's not in its full form, it's going to take time. A lot of regulations, a lot of hurdles from a perspective of, hey, even if you do turn on the switch and 7 million vehicles can join the Robotaxi network, how many of them actually are going to join the network? Probably a lot more than whatever Waymo will be able to come up with in a year and a half. But still, that is going to be a question that we have to think about. And then, quite frankly, what are the margins looking like on this? Tesla yesterday charged $4.20 per ride, so $4.20 a ride. The question's now going to be, how much do they charge in a world in which it actually has to compete with Uber and Lyft, and how cheap is it? Which I think will be the defining factor of, if people choose to tune into a Robotaxi or not. Is Robotaxi continuing today? I don't know. Does anyone know? Is it going to continue today, or was that a one-day thing and then they're going to decide to launch it again later? Or is it legit Robotaxis are live? I feel like it was an event for a day to get, people to see what it looks like. I don't know if it's continuing because there is someone in the car with you the whole time. And again, it's geofenced. It was very controlled yesterday in terms of the actual logistics of it. So it continues. Okay. So if it continues, my question is someone going to stay in the passenger seat? Because that would be interesting then. I wonder how long Tesla is going to keep them in the passenger seat. Influencers will have a few more days, then it's going to roll out to everyone. It's not stopping. Okay, well, that's good. That's good. There you go. So it seems like there's going to be about 35 of them on the road over the coming weeks. Elon said by the end of 2026, he wants a couple 100,000. He even said 2 weeks ago in the CNBC interview, there's a chance there could be 1 million. It's a little aggressive, but if that does happen, the costs are going to come down dramatically. So the question is just going to be, can it actually get to those levels? Yeah, and I think a lot of it still right now is invite only. I can't download the Robotaxi app if I go to Texas right now and just click a Robotaxi. So right now it still is reserved for some people, but it does look like it's going to be opening up over the coming weeks. Hims is down 20% because Novo Nordisk canceled their partnership with Hims. That's why that stock is down currently right now. Okay, cool. So that's what we got in the context of Tessie. We'll see how the stock reacts today. Again, I think earnings is the thing that all of us are looking for. By the way, guys, we're about 3 weeks away till earnings. July 11th. So we got a couple weeks left, and then we get back to earnings. In 7 days, we will be done with the month of June, heading into the 7th month of the year. I feel like 2025 is moving so quick. S&P is flat year to date, but a lot of us are up a lot more than that, given we were able to take advantage of that April-March dip. And the question is just going to be, can we head for that? What I think is possible by the end of the year, 6,500. I think the most important thing based on what we saw yesterday in the overnight markets and futures is that this show will go on if we can show momentum in Q2. Markets do not care about anything going on geopolitically. What will matter to the markets is if we can have another 2% beat on earnings like we did in Q1, 13.4% versus 11%. And if we can do that, I think that's just going to be very exciting. But the question is, can we actually get another level of growth going into Q2? Remember, this is the first quarter ever since the tariffs went live. I don't think the tariffs are going to have that much of an impact on a Meta or a Google. But yeah, they will have some impact on a Lululemon that has already taken away guidance, right? Or maybe a Walmart. So those are the companies I'm a little bit more worried about going into Q2. Sunday night, this was the Sunday morning, this was the performance of markets in the Middle East outside of the United States, obviously. And all of them were relatively flat or positive. Middle Eastern markets, I found this out yesterday, go from Sunday to Thursday. So they're closed on Friday, Saturday. But on Sunday, Egypt, Israel's at an all-time high. Lebanon, Oman, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, all of them really not affected by what's been happening on geopolitically with the United States and Iran. Yeah, I don't know why Qubit's down 20%. Was there a short report or something? I have no clue. Let me see if I can find out real quick. But this one, I feel like there was either an offering or a short report. 14 million shares of dilution. Okay, there you go. They're raising 200 million of common stock. Dude, a lot of companies are raising money in this environment right now, and you can't blame them. You can't blame a Qubit that's up, 200-300% from the lows to raise money right here. Probably a lot more than that. It's just, not the best for shareholders if you bought it at the highs. So yeah, sorry, not 200-300%. It's up 3,000% from the past year. This thing was $1.25 in November 2024. So you can't blame the company for saying, "Hey, we're gonna do some offerings." If you bought it at 18 or 19, you kind of got to take accountability for that, because at some point, it's pretty obvious that they're going to use that to raise some money. The CFO and the CEO quit Qubit. Oh boy, I didn't know that. Well, that along with the offering, the CEO and the CFO, both of them together quit. That's aggressive for them to come out. Dude, even Quantess, that's how you know Qubit is. Even Quantess, our quantum bull in the chat, is bearish on Qubit. So that's how you know this one might not be the core quantum winner. Okay, let's head over to Kevin Hasset. He's the National Economic Counselor for the White House. Let's see if he can give us any commentary on what's going on with Iran, Israel, the United States, and if we can please get an update on these trade deals that he said we were going to get 4 weeks ago. It's almost the end of June. No updates on them. Maybe we'll get some soon.
To do something a little more aggressive, then there's a heck of a lot of excess reserve out there.
And I'm not implying that the president didn't have a firm hold on the Republican Party and members of in the Senate and the House prior to that. But, and you know, we don't know on the ground exactly what happened in Iran yet and how successful. It looks very successful at this point, obviously. But I would almost think that could make the president, I don't know, even have more ability to get wayward members in line on this bill, perhaps.
Well, let's just put it this way, that we spent last week speaking with members of the Senate, members of the House. I'm doing a dinner talk tonight. And I think that we're highly confident that we have the votes to get it through the Senate, through the House, and get it signed by the 4th of July. And highly confident is really based on person to person.
Put in the chat if you think is the big, beautiful bill getting passed by July 4th. They want to get it done by July 4th. What do you guys think? That's about less than 2 weeks away. Does it actually get passed by Independence Day?
Some conversations. I know that there's some people that are still holding out for this or for that, but I think the president is highly confident that we're going to pass this bill and we're going to pass it by the 4th of July.
Well, that's right. I guess the devil's in the details. So do you get the SALT people in the House? Do they vote yes, even if there's no increase in the SALT cap? Do you get some of the more moderate senators to go with a Medicaid, with Medicaid provisions that are stricter, or I don't know, they cut more from Medicaid than the House plan? How do you do that? How do you wrangle all the cats?
Well, what's going to happen? You might recall right at the beginning of this, and I think we might have even announced it right here on Squawk in January. The president said that we're going to follow the Big Six design that he used the last time to get the tax bill, where the Treasury Secretary and I meet with the majority leader, the Speaker of the House, and the heads of the two committees, and we meet regularly, a little bit more than every 2 weeks, and have a collegial, off-the-record discussion about what's it going to take to make this bill pass. I think we've built the social network, the relationships between the House and the Senate that we need so that everybody can figure out, okay, let's get something through the Senate that we can pass in the House. And they're negotiating kind of as one body as they do that. And I think that it is the kind of unity I've never seen before in Washington, and a great credit to really the organizational design, the deal-making design of President Trump.
Yeah, I don't know if we're getting any trade deals anytime soon, bro. I don't know. These guys can barely get this big, beautiful bill passed. Now, granted, my bet would be that they end up getting it done by July 4th, but it is coming down to the wire in terms of getting the votes that they need. I don't even think they have the Senate agreeing fully on what they're cutting or what they're not cutting. Because remember, part of the reason why Oscar ran last week is on a rumor that, well, I don't know if it's necessarily a rumor. It was confirmed, but it's not legitimately confirmed yet. Like, it has to go back to the House of Representatives. The idea that they're not going to be cutting the Medicare spending, which again was Trump's rebuttal to everyone saying that there's no cuts. He was like, yeah, but we're cutting some parts of Medicare. And like now it looks like the Senate's not going to be accepting those cuts, which is great for Oscar, but not necessarily the best in the context of spending. So I think this is going to be one of those things. Hims again right here, still down about 24%. This is going to be one of those things that really does come down to the wire. I think the version of the bill that we get is going to be a intriguing version to figure out exactly what they're doing. And, you know, until we get those details, the market's going to still have a little bit of uncertainty. Folks, we got to buy back. DJT is buying back 400 million of his stock. Truth Social has initiated a 400 million share repurchase agreement. Wow, DJT up 5%. Dude, this company does 2 million in revenue. It is worth 5 billion, and the 2 million they get is from Truth Social. and they have $3 billion on the balance sheet because they've done enough dilution to raise a lot of capital. And also, I forgot they're creating a Bitcoin treasury, so that's going to be another way to access Bitcoin. And then you got DJT that is now doing this $500 million buyback. By the way, speaking of Bitcoin treasuries, remember that new SPAC that Pompliano was launching, Anthony Pompliano? Well, folks, it's a Bitcoin treasury. Anthony Pompliano has raised more than $750 million for a new pro-cap financial company, which will go public through a SPAC, ticker symbol CCCM. The company plans to hold up to $1 billion in Bitcoin and offer services like lending, trading, and capital markets. I don't like it, dude. I'm sorry. I don't like it. I have a lot of respect for this guy. It's not about him. It's nothing personal. I just don't like that we have not only SPACs, but we have SPACs that are rooted in Bitcoin treasury markets. It's not even a SPAC with a company that's like doing something for the world. It's just going to be a shittier version of MicroStrategy. Like, does anyone else think it's a little bubbly, bro? We all lived through 2021 and we all, including myself, learned a lot of lessons from 2021. And I think we all saw, like, when the NFT, we all saw a picture of a rock worth 5 million and we all knew it was bullshit. But to some extent, we all were like, well, it's a nice rock. And in reality, it's like, no, it could be a nice rock, but it's not worth $5 million. And sometimes, reality is sitting in front of you. You're supposed to learn from your mistakes. I just feel like the same vibe is coming from 2021. And I don't know, maybe I'm reading too much into it, but it is granted. By the way, we had to talk a little bit about Bitcoin. I did buy a little bit of Bitcoin over the weekend, about $500 worth of Bitcoin. Basically at this price, I bought it at 101.3. Did dip below 99, which was surprising to me because you got BlackRock buying, the Saudis buying, the Chinese buying, Michael Saylor's buying, all these ETFs are buying, all these freaking meta planets in Japan, Bitcoin treasuries buying, and still someone's selling. And I guess it was people selling based on the Iran-Israel stuff, but it was weird to me that there was a sell-off. By the way, MicroStrategy bought some more Bitcoin as well this morning. They bought about 275 Bitcoin this morning. And Metaplanet bought like 11,000 Bitcoin yesterday. So you do have the Bitcoin treasuries continuing to buy more Bitcoin here as well. I did not sell HIMS. I still have my HIMS. In terms of some of the updates real quick on Iran-Israel, we do have this coming out from Reuters, which is saying that U.S. intelligence feels that Iran will retaliate soon. Iran could retaliate against U.S. forces in the next 2 days. Now, granted, any retaliation, Trump might even allow them to retaliate if they want to shoot off some missiles, as long as no one gets hurt, because, in geopolitics, all right, you got to let them get one off or whatever. But the question is, if they actually target military bases and end up hurting real people, real American soldiers, that's when I think Trump is not going to let that play out. So we've seen this happen with Israel and Iran so many times, right? They let them exchange missiles back and forth, and then everything kind of calms down. The question here is going to be, is this just like some strike they have to do to show their people that they're still strong? Or is it a strike that legitimately is trying to hurt the United States? Because then the United States will indeed get involved. And so we will have to take an update on that later throughout the day. I did talk about Apple thinking about buying Perplexity yesterday. I don't think it's going to play out. I don't think the Perplexity founder wants to sell himself to Apple or Meta. Both are in the contention to potentially buy them. I do think the inevitable outcome of Perplexity is that it gets bought out. I don't know if it's a standalone product in and of itself, even though it is a great product. But I don't know if Apple's going to do it. Now, if Apple does do it, I think they're going to have to pay a hell of a premium because I don't think he just raised that $15 billion. If Apple offers like 25 or 30 billion, it's just not going to be enough, not in this market. So Apple would have to pay minimum, in my opinion, 50 to 55 billion. And I don't know if they want to take half of their cash and buy a company like Perplexity at this point. So yeah, I don't think that's necessarily going to play up, but we're going to have to see. By the way, speaking of Apple, they are currently dealing with negotiations in Europe right now and trying to deal with not paying as many fines as they were projected to pay. Apple right here up about 0.42%, and they are trying to give up as many concessions as they can in the European markets to avoid some of those fines. That's probably why the stock is up a little bit. So we'll probably get some more updates on that over the coming hours as well. For those that are just joining, again, HIMS is down today on Novo Nordisk canceling their partnership with the company. I know it is a big surprise. I definitely did not expect that. When the news broke, like, it was funny because the stock was at 65, then it fell to 60. It was 5% down. And I was like, oh, that's weird. I didn't see any news. Then it was at like 54. And I was like, okay, what's the news? Then it was at 48. And I'm like, oh, the news is pretty bad. So I did not sell my HIMS. My average is 54. I have an average of 54. I did not sell my HIMS. I don't know if I'm going to buy this dip today. I kind of want to just see like how the stock price plays out and if it really does end up taking them down into the low 40s, or if this easily rebounds into the mid 50s. I mean, today is the day where we see, hey, where is the resilience in this stock? Because HIMS, to give it credit, has been very resilient through all the volatility over the past couple months, and it's been able to maintain the 45 to 55 range, at least over the past month. It did have that weird thing where it went to 65 and then right back down to 53. That's when I bought in early June. But yeah, today's going to be a day that's going to be very important to see what the resilience of this stock looks like. I own just HIMS stock, not options, just HIMS stock. So yeah, no options on this one. Okay, cool. This is HIMS DeepSeek moment. Yeah, maybe it's the DeepSeek moments. I know a lot of people that sold some puts on HIMS though, and so they got to be ready to take those. This is the thing: when you sell a put, this is when you have to ask yourself, did you really want this stock? If you sold a put at 50 when it was at 57 and you picked up a couple bucks of premium, and now it's time for you to put those shares at 50, you got to ask yourselves, do you actually want this stock at 50? And if you do, then selling the put is no issue. But if you don't, you might have to consider rolling it and see kind of where the stock goes as well. Okay, in terms of, so we talked about these things. Let me pull up a couple of other stats right here from a macro perspective. I want to show everyone. We got 12 minutes until the market opens. I think it's going to be a relatively flat open. Obviously, we're going to have some stocks that are volatile, but not too much is going to be moving based on what the futures are showing us. Here are money market funds. We talked about this last week, but here's a new chart by Tom Lee, which put out a note yesterday. Basically, Tom Lee said the V-shape is intact and he doesn't see any major hurdles to that V-shape. As you can see, 2.8 trillion, about 3 trillion of money market funds are retail right now, and 4.1 trillion is institutional. So retail has increased its cash hoard aggressively more than institutional, not on an absolute basis, but on a growth rate basis in terms of just the year-over-year percentage growth rate of the amount of cash that is on the side. And you got about 7 trillion that's waiting there to be deployed eventually when rates come down. The question is, when are rates going to come down? Tom Lee also said in his note last night that he's really annoyed by JPOW, basically citing that JPOW's not looking to the data. He's actually saying we need to look at what tariffs are going to do in the future to then be able to look at the data in the future, but not looking at the data in the present. So his argument is that the risk is to the market that the Fed continues to feel so data dependent that they don't look at the data that's in front of them. And that could result in them being very late to cut. By the way, on Friday on the market close, this happened right after the market close, so we didn't get to talk about it, but Trump went off on Powell and he said, I don't know why the board doesn't override this total and complete moron. Maybe, just maybe, I'll have to change my mind about firing him, but regardless, his term ends shortly. Now, look, if Trump actually fired the head of the central bank of the United States, I think our stock market falls 5% that day. I mean, you cannot create that level of instability for foreign investors thinking that we don't have a stable, independent Federal Reserve. And I know people say, well, it's not independent anyway. Sure. But like the perception of Trump getting rid of this guy and bringing in his own guy, it just manipulates the entire way people think about the dollar as the reserve currency, and obviously the interest rate for the United States, which controls the yield on treasuries, which is, everyone buys their treasuries like that. You can't just manipulate that and have your own person that you want there. So from that perspective, I think it's, obviously not the best thing if Trump were to do that. Now, I don't think he will, but if he did, that would not be the best. And then on top of that, Trump last night tweeted that we need to make Iran great again. And the way he said it was very weird. He said, it's not politically correct to use the term regime change, but if the current Iranian regime is unable to make Iran great again, why wouldn't there be a regime change? MIGA, make Iran great again. I really hope this means we are not putting boots on the ground and going for a legit regime change. By the way, 50% of you say the big beautiful bill is not getting passed by July 4th. But the way Trump is tweeting about it kind of feels like it could happen. But I hope not. I really hope not. Triple V, thank you again for the $100 super chat. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you for being here. A lot of you guys were asking, what is Triple V's thesis on JetBlue? The only thesis I really understand from it is that it's heavily shorted. So he is long this name. He said that on Friday. For those that are interested in it, $397 billion market cap, $1.5 billion. It's 20% short. So that's like the thesis right there. Now, granted, is that the best thesis? That's up to you to decide. But his thesis is that it's short and maybe there's, an acquisition potentially target here. The thing about airlines that sucks right now, United, Delta, all these guys, the reason they're down is because oil prices are up. And they already have really crappy margins. United down, Delta down right here, Southwest is down. For their margins to increase, the cost of oil going down, which it was for the better part of the year, is really important. And that's not happening anymore right now. So from an airline perspective, that is the major headwind for them right now. I mean, thoughts on Iran? I have no thoughts on this. However, the streets are saying this is the next one to blow up like an Oscar or a Hims. I don't know anything about them. I know they're a Bitcoin miner. I know they have an energy component to their business. But when I say the streets, I'm always talking about FinTwit. FinTwit thinks this is going to be the next Oscar, I guess you can say. I just have not dived deep into it. But there are a lot of bulls, like that kind of cult community starting to really form around Iran. Maybe we'll do a deep dive on it. But yeah, people are getting a bit more excited about that one. Richard Boss, thank you for becoming a channel member. Appreciate it, Richard. Thank you for being here. And thank you for becoming a channel member as well. Where's VG? VG and natural gas companies, 1936. That's up about 2% next decade. That one is also flat on the day. Again, oil prices are a bit down, which is nice to see this morning. But you do have some of these natural gas companies getting a little bit of a benefit based on these oil prices. Let's see what else we have going on overnight or in the pre-market. Palantir's up a little bit. Nvidia flat. Hims again 25%. Hims is about to go below 48. It looks like that would be a new low. SoFi 1505. S&P green. Google talked about this over the weekend. This one's getting incredibly disrespected, but now at 166. I think it's because of the Apple perplexity rumors. I also think it's because they got a fine from some European regulator on Friday. I don't know, dude. Google's Q2 is going to be very important because they're not going to get the 40% SpaceX EPS beat that they had last time. So the question is, what's the catalyst? And I think we're going to have to see going for Google. Grab is at 450. I wrote up a 17-page thesis on Grab last night. It's on Twitter, so anyone can go to Twitter, check it out. It's a Google Doc. The reason I wrote it up, very simple. I wanted to collect my thoughts together, kind of get my understanding of the company as the stock price is not really reflecting the fundamentals of the business, in my opinion. Number two, everyone has so many questions about this, and there's nothing more to cover on the day-to-day. Like at this point, this is not a Palantir or Robinhood where there's like exciting updates every single day. At this point, my thesis is set. My conviction is set. Will I be right or wrong? Time gets to tell. So whenever anyone asks me about Grab, I'm just going to link them that 17-page thesis, and you can read all my thoughts. But there's not that much else to cover. At this point, the market wants to know what they're going to do with their cash when operating margins go up. And you know, when those two things play out, then I think we'll see what happens. In terms of the stock price, I think it could fall to the 420s, 430s if we get a little bit of a dip in the broader market. Definitely has seen some selling pressure over the past couple of weeks. So I wouldn't be surprised if it gets to those levels. My next buy will be at 420. I did buy 1,500 shares at 450 on Friday. But at the same time, I could easily see a gap up to $5 because I don't think it deserves to be here. At this point, it's trading at 50% cash. And so now it's up to the market to decide what they think about the overall operating margin story, which I think is the real story to determine if it gets a multiple. Apple right here at 201, SMCI down about 3%. They are doing a convertible note offering as well today, about $3 billion. Bitcoin 101, TLT up a little bit because that 10-year spiking up, not really seeing a ton of momentum in the treasury markets yet, although these stable coins should help get more demand for treasuries, but that might take some time. Circle right here goes red in the pre-markets. Circle goes red in the pre-market. Amit, are you bearish on Hims now? No, I am not bearish on Hims just because it's down 25%. I bought it. I took a long time to buy it primarily because I needed time to understand the thesis. I think the thesis, this whole Netflix of healthcare thing is intact. I think it makes sense. I think it's cheap. I think the growth is incredible. But this is a bad headline. It is what it is. It's a crappy headline. So for anyone who's really deep in Hims, you just have to deal with the fact that this is a headline that's not going to be respected. Now, is it a thesis-breaking headline? I don't think so. I don't think losing the Novo partnership means Hims goes back to 20. And if it does, I just think there's going to be too many dip buyers along the way. But it is a bad headline. And it is what it is. Some stocks are going to have crappy headlines. Like, you just got to live with it. You know, Grab will have bad headlines. Palantir has bad headlines. Tesla has bad headlines. Like, it happens. And if you're going to invest in a growth stock that's incredibly volatile, part of the reason why people like these stocks is because of the volatility. And these headlines, you know, end up creating some of that volatility as well. The bad headline was that Novo is canceling their partnership with Hims. Novo is canceling their partnership with Hims. Amit, are you concerned about a lawsuit from Novo? Some people are talking about that. Yes, I think that is going to be a headwind. Again, stock's already down 25%. I think the market's kind of pricing in that, hey, there might be some lawsuits right here, and that also could be not the best thing in the world for Hims. But I don't know. At this point, we're going to have to see how resilient the stock is on dealing with this dip. By the way, the grab stuff, I put that in the chat right there. It's also on Twitter, but I put the Google Doc in the chat, so you can click that right there and get access to the document. Fubo, where's Fubo in the pre-market? We got 3 minutes until the market opens. Fubo, that one's basically flat. Disney is also down about 1%. Pretty much everything's red or slightly green. Lockheed Martin is up a little bit. You got the defense contractors up. Raytheon's up about 1%. Trade Desk, that's flat. Where is Rocket Lab? I think that was down. Rocket Lab is down 4%. I don't know why Rocket Lab's down 4%. And then ASTS is also down 4%. Why are ASTS and Rocket Lab down 4%? Why are the space names getting hit? I'm not sure exactly, but both of them are getting hit kind of at the same time. No response from HIMS yet. I didn't see any response from HIMS yet. Novo was claiming HIMS was deceptive. Correct. That's why there might be some lawsuits here. But again, the stock's down 25%. I feel like the market's kind of pricing in that it's bad. And in about 2 minutes, we'll see how bad it could end up becoming. All right, yeah, we got 2 minutes. We got 2 minutes until the market opens. Robinhood right here, 77.88 currently right now. The big news over the weekend as well was Robinhood is introducing mortgages. They're not going to be issuing the mortgages, but they're going to be working with Sage Home Loans, which is a company that issues mortgages, to partner with them to refer their gold members to them to get discounted mortgage rates. The other big news on Robinhood is that on June 30th, they're going to be in France and they will be officially unveiling their crypto tokenization product, which I think could be a game changer, quite frankly, for Europeans and how they trade U.S. assets from a tokenized perspective. So that's one thing to watch out for in the context of Robinhood. But look, I think a lot of us have been waiting for a dip and we haven't got access to that dip yet. So the question just becomes, when we will see some massive dip across the board. And the S&P right here, green, AMD green, Robinhood barely flat. I mean, we're really not seeing that market-wide dip yet. And the Iran-United States escalations has not created that dip either, at least not yet. All right, folks, here we go. 30 seconds. 30 seconds until the market opens. I hope everyone had a great weekend. We got another week. We are ending out the month of June. In the next 7 days, Q2 will be done, and we will officially start Q3. And we'll be here every day to analyze it as we go forward. All right, here we go. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Monday, June 23rd at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. The stock market is now open. All right, Monday morning, wake your ass up. Let's get into it. S&P 500, 594. That basically opens up flat on the day. HIMS, 27% down. HIMS was not, or has not bottomed in the pre-market. It was at 48.50 in the pre-markets. It's at 47.08. It looks like it's a couple cents away from going below 47, 26.5%. Let's see if that bottoms out or if it continues to get sold off. Tessie, 330. Tessie, 330, up 2.79%. Robotaxi hype is real, 331. The market is excited, at least so far. Tesla gets some of those gains, up about 2.8% in the context of what happened this weekend for Robotaxis, up about 3% right here. NVIDIA, 143. That one's recovering from the pre-market, basically flat. Palantir trying to make its way back to 140, 139.24 on Palantir. Robinhood back above 78. I love to see that. Robinhood right there, 78.10. It did hit 79.40 on Friday. Robinhood at 78.07. AMD, 131. That's green. S&P, again, slightly red, but basically flat. SoFi, down about 1%. Google, wow, 164, huh? Down 1.3% again on Google. My goodness. Grab, flat at 450. Reddit, down 3%. Amazon, down 1%. Meta, down 0.5%. Salesforce, flat. PayPal, up 2%. Elf, down 1.2%. Apple, flat at 201. SMCI, down about 6%. They did that convertible offering. That is not the best for Apple. That one is down about 6.2%. Circle is green. Circle is green. Circle's up 700% from IPO, but it's still green. Pinterest, 33. That's down about 1%. Microsoft, 474. Did hit all-time highs on Friday at 482. That one is now down just a bit. Uber right here, 83.87. That is flat. Coinbase, 305. That one's also flat, but that was up 20% last week. CoreWeave, 179. That's down about 2%. Verizon is flat. Rocket Lab down 2.9%, back to 29.17. Robinhood, 78.23. Palantir, 139.15. HIMS, 45.58. My goodness. Folks, we got a 30% down day on Hims. A 30% down day on Hims. That's a little ugly, bro. That's a little ugly. I mean, I don't know if it's fundamentally deserved to be down 30% or if the Novo headline is just that bad, but market cap is now 10 billion on Hims, down from about 14 billion. S&P again, basically flat right here. Goog still getting hit, down 1.4%. I think it has to be the Perplexity rumor at this point, and then being replaced by Perplexity instead of Apple search engine, which we kind of already knew that was going to happen based on the lawsuits or the testimonies from a month ago. So I don't know if that's new news, but Google right here continuing to get hit. Grab right here, basically flat at 450, 451. Wow, Tessie, 330. Okay, so I guess that money is leaving pills in Hims and hair loss pills and ED pills and going to Tesla. Like, I guess people are saying, you know what? We don't need to worry about our physical health and eating pills to be able to save this. We're going to Robotaxis. There you go. That's the transition. 335 on Tessie. Tessie going above 345 is a key level for them. That would be incredible. Obviously, 350 is that main psychological level, but if this thing can actually pump up all the way to 345, that would be incredible. That would be incredible for Tessie. Where is Hims right now? Hims, again, some of that money seems like it's rotating. 44.76. My goodness, 30% down on the day. More than 30%. Dude, that's ugly. That is ugly. My Hims covered calls are up 95%, which is nice. It's always nice when you have a little bit of cushion on those covered calls. So we're up about $3,000 on those. That's nice. But the equity demolished. Absolutely demolished on a day like, and it's not stopping. 31%. 31% now getting hit. Yeah, I think we're gonna have to roll those down, bro. I have not sold my Hims. I have not sold. I just showed you guys the covered calls. Like, I can't sell covered calls if I don't have shares. So I'm holding my Hims. Why is SoFi down 4%? I have no clue why SoFi is down 4%. This one keeps like getting affected by Iran and Israel every update. I don't know why, but maybe it's because we're not getting rate cuts anytime soon. But still, I don't know if that's the reason why it has to go down. Tesla taking a little bit of a breather, 332. It was at 336 just now, so a little bit of a $4 candlestick down, but still holding on to the 330s, which is awesome. And that one being the core winner of the day. CoreWeave down 11%. Wow. You're seeing some of the froth, or well, down 5%, not 11%, down 5%. Some of the froth may be coming out of the market. Arrow, this was another IPO. That one down 8%. I don't like to see people lose money, but I do like to see money leave some of the frothy names and maybe rotate into stuff that's better. Archer as well, down about 3% right here. Intel, that's up a little bit. Rocket Lab is down about 4%. Disney, down about 2%. SLG, that one's also down. Hims at 45, and then Pfizer right here at 43. Where is Amazon? Amazon's at 207. Again, it really does feel like people are rotating out of the Hims thesis right here into some of these other names right now, down about 29%. It also feels like institutions might be selling. I don't know if retail is that paper-handed where they would sell on a Novo headline. And most of retail has, averages on Hims that are like below $20. So does feel a little bit more institutional. Palantir right here at 138, seeing some more red candles across the board. SoFi 1486, that one's still red. Grab is green. Grab is up 1%. All right, so Grab, a little bit of green in the midst of some of this red. Apple basically falls flat again on the day. And then Nebius, this one also, another one that people have been talking about, is down 3%. Now, again, some of these names that people have been talking about, if they're taking a little bit of a beating, remember, they're up a lot. Like Nebius was at $30. So if you bought it at 52, it's like sucks to suck, but it is up a decent chunk. Same thing with Oscar. Oscar was at 11. If you bought it at 22, that sucks. Oscar, wow, down 7% on the day. If you bought it at 21, that doesn't feel the best. But if you bought it at 11, you can't really complain that it's at 19 and it's not at 23 anymore. But Oscar as well, taking a little bit of a hit right here. And then AppLovin as well continues to get hit, 323. That is down on the day. Trump just put on Truth Social. He tweeted something. What did he tweet? Everyone. Okay, Trump just tweeted, everyone in all caps, keep oil prices down. Wait, hold on. What is this, bro? He said, everyone, keep oil prices down. I'm watching. You're playing right into the hands of the enemy. Don't do it. What is he saying? Everyone keep oil prices down? What is he talking about? Is he telling Chevron and ExxonMobil and all these guys, hey, don't do any funny business because I'm watching? What is this, bro? I think that's more so a message to the Saudis and some of the other countries that pump oil to keep it down. But it sounds like he's talking to companies, and companies can't really control the price to that extent. It's more so based on supply and demand. All right. Trump is watching, folks. He says, I'm watching. So there you go. By the way, oil prices are doing okay today. So, well, actually, they just flipped green. Okay, so they were red in the pre-market. They just flipped green on WTI and Brent. Now, granted, they're not up as much as the futures implied. They would be up like 8%. So it's at least better than what the market expected. Pounds right here, 138. Tessie, 334. NVIDIA, 143. And HIMS, slight recovery from 44 to 46. But that stock looks like it might be stuck in the 40s today. That one's getting hit. Yeah, Trump should tell the market to go up because he's watching. He should be like, "Hey, stock market participants, go up." I'm watching you. I'm watching you. Is HIMS a good dip to buy? Look, here's the thing, bro. Again, I am not the biggest expert on HIMS. I obviously don't know enough about this company like I know about Pound or Hood, etc. A 30% down day, I will say as a rule of thumb, if you are super bullish on HIMS, meaning you understand a lot of the internal dynamics of this name, you're not just holding it to hold it, you buy a stock when it's down 30%. If you're like, if Robinhood was down 30% today, I'm buying that. If Palantir is down 30%, I'm buying that. But if NVIDIA is down 30%, but my conviction is so strong on those names that it's not hard for me to justify. HIMS, I got 700 shares. My conviction is not that high. I mean, it's like, now that doesn't mean I'm selling it, but that also doesn't mean I'm like rushing to my brokerage to buy the dip. I just don't know that much about it, right? But I do believe in the overall story. So, and there's some names in your portfolio where you will believe in the thesis, believe in the story, but that doesn't mean that you're going to be excited to get your hands on every little dip. If you are super bullish HIMS, I think you have to buy a 30% dip. I mean, it would be weird not to, unless it really is going to be catastrophic and you think, this is going to be a 50% dip. Now, if you're looking for an entry into HIMS today, there's two things you can do. You can either buy this HIMS dip because down 30% is one of the better entries you're probably going to get on this name. Now, maybe it gets worse. Maybe that happens, but that's the risk you have to take when you buy stock that is as volatile as HIMS. But number two, this is a great day to sell some puts. The reason I like option selling so much is because it gives you flexibility. So let's just look at the option chain real quick. Remember, selling a put means you're agreeing to buy 100 shares in the future at a certain price, and you're getting paid premium from the market to wait until that price comes. If that price never comes, then you get to keep all the premium. If you go a month out to July 25th and you say, you know what, I don't like HIMS at 45, I like it at 40, the market right now is paying you $2.44 a share, which means you have to put up $4,000 of collateral, 100 times 4,000 or times 40. That's 4,000. You're getting 233 to wait on that 4,000. 233 divided by 4,000 is a 5.8% return on your money. So if you don't feel comfortable buying HIMS at 45, if you were going to buy 100 shares, but you have $4,000, at least enough to buy 100 shares at $40, you can give that to your brokerage, sell that put, collect the 233 in premium. If HIMS goes to 40, you then can buy those shares, and technically your average is 38 because you got $2 up front. If not, you keep the premium and you move on. So I think there are ways to play this right here. If you've been waiting for an entry, 30% down. I feel like it's not the worst day and not the worst idea to take advantage of that, but also you can sell puts given the premiums are up. Circle, is that one falling? Circle is no green. 250 on Circle. 250 on Circle. Wow. Not stopping. Not stopping at all. AMD right here. That one's also green. So AMD is the winner today. Robinhood back above 78. Tesla, AMD, Robinhood. I meant to say Robinhood. Where's Rocket Lab? Rocket Lab is also, 2950. That's not bad. Rocket Lab, Hood, Circle, and AMD. Also Grab, not doing horrible. 456 are the ones that are green today. Apple as well going green right here. HIMS is down. NVIDIA is down. And Tessie also up about 4%. Which is not too bad. SoFi back over 15. SoFi is back over 15. There you go. 1504 from 1486. What about the ETF right now with HIMS being down so much? Let me pull it up. Let's see if that's updating. Matt was the winner on Friday after week one. He's up like 7% compared to the rest of us. This is really going to hurt Steve's portfolio today. but Steve was in second place. Okay, so now Matt is up 5%. I am down 0.42. Steve is down 3. Tanner's down 1.3. Chris is down 1.4. Steve went from second to last with hymns. I'm at fourth. Chris is at. Oh, sorry. No, I'm second. No, Matt is first. I'm second. Steve is third. Chris is last, and Tanner is fourth. Wow, I went for second. Okay, cool. So I'm at second. So yeah, that one's hurt. The Steve's is getting hit the most by hymns right here, and then Matt's still at the top, even with some of the drops today because he was up so much already. So that one's helping him. Zeta, is that one up? Zeta is up. Zeta is up 13%. I still don't fully understand what this company does, but this one's getting some momentum from retail. Zeta right here, up about 14%. Is Estee Lauder up? EL, Estee Lauder. Yeah, look at that. Burry is having some love. He bought 100,000 shares of this thing at like 60, up another 3.35% currently right now. Chris is last, likely because of UNH. That is, well, Google. Google's down 7% from all time. UNH slightly up, actually. UNH is slightly up, but it is down from where it was at 330. And then the other big loser he has is Novo. Oh, yeah, I forgot Chris has Novo. Chris has Novo. So that's his. This is Chris's watch list is right here. This is the ETFs. He has UNH, Google, Marvell. Marvell's been doing good. Axon's been doing good. Alpha's also not been doing the best. Oracle. Oracle was at 220. Now it's at 205. So that one's also down. Cisco, Lilly, and Novo. So those two are hurting Chris right now. Thoughts on Lulu? They took away profit guidance. So although I think they're cheap, and this is the cheapest PE they've traded at in 5 years, wow, they're down another 3% today. Holy crap, dude. This thing was at 350 on May 28th. Now it's at 220. My goodness. I don't know why it's down another 3%. It's getting cheaper. Another 3% down. That PE is starting to even get more attractive, but they took away their profit guidance. That's kind of scary to me. I mean, that's basically them saying, we just don't know how the tariffs are going to impact us. And although it's a little de-risked, it could be something that's a bit more volatile. Tanner's ETF, NVIDIA, Nubank, Now, Melly, Shop, TTD, ASML, AppLovin, Coinbase, and TSM. AppLovin is the one that's hurting him the most. Again, Matt, he's pretty much winning across the board. Oscar, SoFi, Rocket Lab, Amazon, ASTS. Dutch Bros has been a little bit lagging for him. ABCL has done very well. And then Steve, the thing that's hurting him the most right here is HIMS, down about 27%. But everything else for Steve, Salesforce, Netflix, CrowdStrike, Meta, that's doing good. Netflix, by the way, basically at all-time highs, 1237 right here. And then my ETF is, well, Tesla's helping it. Robinhood's helping it. Grab's helping it a little bit today. Grab up 2.4%. All right, Grab's doing all right. Apple, I did get it at 198, so that's up a little bit. Visa's a loser for me right now. And then Duolingo's also slightly down. Why is UNH down again? I don't know, but Steve and I were looking at the UNH options last night. And if you go out even to December, wow, below 300. If you go to December 2027, and the spread we were looking at was 420, 460, you buy the 420, you sell the 460 against it. Or even if you do 440, 460, it's pretty freaking cheap, dude. Like you have 2.5 years for this thing to recover 50%. It would still be down 30% from all-time highs. It's trading at 11 times free cash flow, which is dirt cheap for a company of United Health size. And it's like a 5x return if it ends up going back to like 450, 460. So you do have some of these ones that are different. Chris, we were looking at the leaps you're at. I don't know if your leaps are as good as some of the leaps Steve was looking at last night. He was looking at December 2027, 440, 460. And I know you're in the June 2027's 400, 500s. I think yours is a little riskier because you got to get to 500 by June, whereas he's looking at a 550% return to only get to 460 by December. Now, granted, I don't know if the prices he was looking at are accurate in terms of if they're going to get filled or not, because the bid and the ask might be a little bit too wide, which might be the reason that like those returns don't even exist, because the ability to get them filled by market makers is not going to be there. But I think it might be a little bit less risky to go out even further into the spread. Yeah, that's the risk. That's what I was telling Steve last night, because I was like, Steve, well, is this going to get filled? Because that's the question. Because if it doesn't get filled, then So I think we'll look at it later today and see if it could get filled. 337 on Tessie. Wow, Tessie. She wants 340, folks. Let's check resistance right here. 337.28. Tesla 338. Wow. My goodness. This company just like Elon said Trump was on the Epstein list. Marco was like, well, Robotaxis. That's what matters. 338, 31,000 shares. 31,000 shares on this. 31,000 shares. Oh, did we get PMI? Did we just get PMI? Okay, we got PMI. We got PMI. All right, here we go. So market wanted 52.5. We came in at 52.8. Manufacturing market wanted 52. We came in at 52. Services market wanted 53. We came in at 53.1. 53.1 on PMI. Okay, so those are good across the board. They're not necessarily bad. Relatively small beats or coming in line with expectations, which is decent. So PMI not looking too shabby. Tesla 338. All right, what's that 339? 339 resistance is 17,000 shares. 17,000. So that's not a lot either to see. Lemonade's up. Yeah, Thursday we're going to do the deep dive on Lemonade. So we'll talk more about that. Lemonade right here up 4%. Whereas Oscar is still down 3%. Hims is down 27% still. ASTS is recovering a little bit. It was down 4, now it's down 1. Palantir trying to get right back to 140. And then where's Circle? Circle, are we pumping? Circle. Wow, bro, 258. What is going on? Why are people piling into this? Like, I get it. Stable coins, the future, disrupting finance, yada, yada. But 700%, 60 billion market cap? Really? Don't say anything about me owning Palantir. I don't care. I'm allowed to say Circle's overvalued, even if I own Palantir. Circle's not freaking building the operating system for the DoD, okay? Like, what the hell's going on with this? Rocket Lab's green as well. Rocket Lab looks like it wants to bust out from this like $30 range. Yeah, there you go, back above 30. It's been trying for the past 2 weeks to just sustainably head above 30. And, you know, Rocket Lab from a price to sales perspective obviously is pretty damn expensive, but they're not profitable yet. There's things you can point to for why the stock is aggressively priced here. But if you think it's a baby SpaceX and it's only worth 14 billion and SpaceX is worth 350, you know, you don't have to buy here, but you definitely don't have to say it has to go back down to like 15 or anything. So if it can hold on to this momentum, I think it's not crazy to see Rocket Lab head into that $35 range over the coming months, especially if they can be profitable. But I mean, they're expected to be profitable, I think, by 2026. If they can do a surprise gap profit by Q4 this year, they're only 11 cents away. I think that could get the market excited as well. Where's Nike? Where's Nike and CoreWeave? Nike right here. That's flat. CoreWeave is down 4%. CoreWeave and Nebius down. Where's Oklo? Oklo flat. Hood is green. Hood goes green, baby. Hoodie goes green. Speaking of another stock that wants to break out, it feels like Hood wants 80. Feels like she wants 80. 78.40 on Hood. Tesla right back to 336. And then Nvidia trying to go green. 143 right now. Bitcoin. Where's Bitcoin? 102. Oh, wow. Good. Bitcoin. All right. So I'm up on some of my Bitcoin that I bought on Saturday. Are you guys proud of me that I bought Bitcoin? I saw it go to 101.3. I was like, you know what? I'm buying some freaking Bitcoin. I'm buying it. So I have me some more Bitcoin. Google 165 still down on the day. Grab right here 460 up 2.4, and then AMD 131. That's up about 2% as well. Nike has earnings this week. I know. Wait, when does Micron have earnings? Nike. Oh yeah, Nike's on Thursday. Micron is. Oh, dude, tomorrow's Carnival Cruise, and then after hours from Carnival down 2%. Tomorrow is then FedEx, and then Wednesday is Micron, and then Thursday is Nike. Okay, so we still do have some earnings to take a look at this week. SMLR, Semler Scientific, that's up 3%. Another Bitcoin Treasury. SMR, New Scale Power, that one's up 6% in the nuclear space. And the nano nuclear, that one as well is up about 2%. Yeah, Micron is this week. Micron is this week. This market is crazy resilient right now. Good and bad news both take the market higher. Yeah, dude. I mean, S&P down 5%. Like, we just haven't seen that in a while. Ever since April, the volatility has been to the upside. Tesla right back to 337. Look at the S&P, 596. It wants to go back to 6,000. Like, the United States literally got involved in a military operation to destroy the Iranian nuclear facilities, and the market doesn't care. One of the reasons the market might actually be bullish on this is because a nuclearized Iran, or at least the threats of Iran becoming nuclearized, is bearish for the entire world, right? It's bearish geopolitically. It's bearish for tensions with Israel. It's bearish for tensions inside of the Middle East. And then obviously that could have an impact on stocks. So one interpretation that the market could be having is, okay, if we're not going to have a nuclear Iran anymore, we're good. We don't have to worry about this. We can move on. And long term, this might actually be something that creates more stability for stocks, which could be the argument that's bullish for the broader markets right now. Coinbase goes green. All right, Coinbase going green on Bitcoin, getting some love. 307.51. Coinbase about a dollar away from going green. And then MicroStrategy, that one's also slightly down. Slightly down on the day. Iran yesterday, they came out and they said, we are going to rebuild our nuclear facilities to the point where the United States' attack will seem like it was nothing. And then a day before that, they said the United States attack didn't even affect our nuclear facilities. So, I mean, they are contradicting themselves left and right. Obviously, we were probably able to attack Fordo pretty aggressively. And, you know, now the Iranian government is trying to make it seem like it wasn't a bad attack, but they're also saying we're going to rebuild our facilities. So it doesn't really seem like they're giving a lot of confidence to the regime. Now, one thing I did read last night is that some Israeli intelligence is saying that Iran still has a ton of uranium they've already enriched above 60%, and that was not hurt in the attack from the United States. So, you know, there could be potentially more to the story in terms of what Israel or the United States tries to do. But the majority of their nuclear facilities, based on what it looks like, seems to be gone. Which is obviously, you know, good for Iran not having nuclear facilities, and maybe good for the broader markets thinking that there's going to be more stability across the Middle East. Tessie, oh boy, 339. Wow, we got to 339.90. For 340 resistance is, what is it? 340 resistance is 100,000 shares. 105,000. Wow, look at that, bro. Look at that. There you go. Wow, 105,000 shares gone like that. 340 on Tessie. Either this is going to be an amazing pump going into earnings, or this is setting up for some bad expectations on delivery numbers, which are coming out in a couple weeks. But so far, the market doesn't care. I mean, and to the market's credit, this Robotaxi thing looks really cool, bro. I know it's not going to have an impact on the bottom line probably for another year and a half, most likely 2 years, but it looks pretty freaking cool, bro. The first dollar of revenue on Robotaxis has been collected by Tesla. And I think that's why you're seeing this momentum right. You're up 5.7%, 340.56. It looks like it doesn't want to stop. 341 is 16,000 shares. 16,000 shares. It looks like it's going to hit it in a couple seconds. 340.90. There you go. 341. 341 on Tesla. Boom. Moving, baby. She's moving. 342 has another 19,000 shares. So not a lot of walls set up to stop some of this momentum. Robin at 78.48, Pouncer 139, and then Tessie 341. Yeah, Tesla collected like a couple $1,000s of revenue yesterday because it was $420 a ride, but still. Why is VG down so bad? VG, yeah, that's weird. I don't know. It was up in the pre-markets. That's kind of weird. Not sure why that one's getting hit. Rocket Lab 31. Rocket Lab. Wow, baby. 31. I'll take it. I have 2,100 shares of Rocket Lab. I will freaking take it. Shout out to Matt Money. Definitely borrowed his conviction on this one. Quite frankly, shout out to the chat. You and Matt Money just kind of piled up on me in January and February for not owning this stock. And I didn't get in the app, so I got in at my average is like $23. So didn't get in that 15, 16 range, but still. Rocket Lab right here, 30.8, up about 2.7%. Resistance at 32 on Rocket Lab is 134,000 shares. And at the same time, Let's circle back to Circle, all-time high, 263, up 10% on the day. Why not? Why not? Jed, shout out to you. I think Jed has like 25,000 shares of Rock Lab at $4. I think he kind of went all in, or at least part of his portfolio. He went in significantly back in 2023, late 2023. So Jed is definitely feeling some love on Rock Lab. UNH below 300, 299.34 on UNH. I do own Tesla. But last time I bought Tesla was 328. I bought it the day Elon, or I bought more the day Elon apologized to Trump. I was like, okay, this should be good. And then Tesla fell, but Tesla getting some love. Tesla's just not a significant portion. Wow, 342. It's not a significant portion of my portfolio. I feel like it's always missed me. I never got the entry prices right. I definitely didn't get a chance in 2024 because I was heavily concentrated in Robinhood and Palantir. They were basically both 50% of my portfolio each. And then this year, my big pick was NVIDIA, which NVIDIA's done very well for me, quite frankly. Like if I had taken the money in the beginning of the year that I allocated to NVIDIA around January and February, and I bought Tesla, I would have bought Tesla at basically 370, and I would still be down. And I would have had to really have enough capital to buy the dip at 220, which wasn't even the low. Or sorry, it was the low, but it wasn't like the worst time of the market. The worst time of the market was in April. Tesla didn't fall that much below 220 in April, but it bottomed around March. And I kind of deployed most of like the Mag 7 exposure I wanted by basically after DeepSeek, after NVIDIA fell to like $90 or fell to 104, 105, fell to 90 back in April. So even if I bought Tesla aggressively, I would have been buying it at heavier prices versus buying NVIDIA at the same time. Because remember, when NVIDIA fell to 100, Tesla was still at 370. So I do feel like NVIDIA was the better buy. But now I want to build up the Tesla part of the portfolio just because I use FSD every day. I just think it's expensive here. I still think it's expensive. And the reality of the earnings is not going to match up with Robotaxi. But that doesn't mean that this stock has to go anywhere near $200. Because the hype of Robotaxi is enough for people to say we want to give a premium to the future. 343 on Tessie. Let's check 344 resistance on this one. 344 resistance is, again, 15,000 shares. There's not a lot of walls today. It's kind of like blue skies. Blue skies on Tessie. There you go. Do we have an India trade deal update? India-US trying to finalize interim trade deal by July 9th. Okay, at this point, I'm going to believe it when they actually give it to us because they've been trying to finalize it for a couple months. But we got to see this deal. I think India will be next, though. Definitely before Japan. The headline on Friday was Japan is leaving discussions because the United States was like, hey, not only do we want you to lower tariffs, not only do we want you to buy more American cars, we want you to spend more money on defense. And the Japanese prime minister was like, all right, I'm out. And so it was a little dicey on Friday. I'm sure, they'll get back to talking soon, but the reports were that the Japanese were like, dude, you're asking way too much at this point. You're just asking way too much. We have home sales, folks. We got home sales. We just got home sales. Market wanted 3.9 million. We came in at 4.03. That's a beat. 4.03. That's a beat on home sales. Not too bad. It's been a dicey market for homes. You've seen Lennar and a lot of these home builders not really put up a ton of earnings growth just because of the fact that interest rates are high. Tesla, by the way, did hit 344 for a second. Looks like it's about to get back there again. Completely blue skies for Tesla. The next resistance at 345 is 65,000 shares. 345, and it's just about to get there. 344.60. It looks like it wants to get right above that level. But 345, 60,000 shares. S&P positive on home sales. Not really reacting too bad. Let's get an update on that right here, and then we'll keep going from there. There's no way. There's no way. There is no way, bro. What is going on? I hate myself so much right now. I hate myself so much. I'm sorry.
4.03 million units, according to the realtors. The street was looking for a slight decline. Sales were 0.7% lower than May of last year. That is the slowest pace since 2009 for May. Now, this count is based on closings, so contracts likely signed in March and April. The average rate on the 30-year fixed mortgage was steady in March, but then shot higher, over 7% in April. The increase in sales was likely fueled by a big jump in the supply of homes for sale. 1.54 million units available at the end of May. That is up over 20% from the year before. At the current sales pace, that's a 4.6-month supply, which is actually still historically on the light side, and that's why we're still seeing pressure on prices. The median price of an existing home sold in May, $422,800, up 1.3% year over year, and a record high for the month of May. But it is the smallest annual gain since June of 2023. Now, homes are taking longer to sell, 27 days versus 24 a year ago. Just 30% of buyers were first-timers. That's down from 31% last year and still pretty low. 27% of all transactions were all cash, and that is higher than last year. David?
Diana, thank you.
I think that was the longest. It was about a minute. Dude, I don't know what's going on with StreamYard. Like, every time I share something, it's like it automatically mutes, and then I have to reshare it and go. It's like, it's weird. And yeah, dude, I had to check my phone. I didn't see the chat. I'm sorry. But nonetheless, home sales data was good. S&P looks like it's pumping on that. Robin at 79, baby. Back to 79, and then Tessie 343. Tesla did not touch 345 yet, but Robinhood, she wants 80. Dude, at least it was only a minute. At least it wasn't like 5 minutes or anything like that. It wasn't like I could have gone the entire segment without it. It was only a minute. It was like 500 messages within that minute, but still. It's just me like living my life, having no issue thinking the sound is playing, and then goodness gracious, bro. I was not on Grindr, bro. It's a goodness. I actually, you know what I was looking at? I was looking at a text message. I might as well show you guys this right now. I was looking at a text message from my boy. Yeah, there he is right there. From my boy, Mateo. I told you guys I have a good friend who worked at Palantir, who left Palantir to start his own startup. That's the friend's house I was at on Friday. I'm a proud investor in his startup, and his startup just raised $15 million. So there you go. Shout out to Mr. Mateo. You guys saw him on the market close on Friday. He is working his ass off to build the next biggest crypto exchange. It's called GTE. It's a 15 million Series A from Paradigm. Paradigm is one of the largest crypto VC funds. I am happy to play a very small role in this investment. Quite frankly, I just believe in him and his ability to execute. And I got to meet his co-founder on Friday as well. And his co-founder can really pitch. I mean, I was already going to invest, but the way he explained the vision of what they're trying to do, one day I'll do a podcast with him so he can really explain it fully in depth. He explained it for like a couple minutes on the market close, but next time I'll get him and his co-founder to really explain what they're trying to do. It's pretty incredible. So yeah, shout out to him, man. Just left Palantir a couple months ago and raised the 15 million Series A. And he's going to be competing, by the way, with Coinbase and Robinhood. So he's going up against the big dogs. He is going up against the biggest tech companies in the world in regards to finance. And, if he pulls it off, then he's going to get really rich, and hopefully he takes me along the journey for him as well. So there you go. Shout out to him. I'll put his Twitter link in the chat if anyone wants to read more about this update. But I was looking at his text, and I didn't notice the freaking thing was muted, bro. So there you go. You can check him out right there. There's not a public round to invest. Maybe in the future they'll open something out to the public. But as of now, they're going through the VCs and trying to build the next big thing. And it's really cool, dude. And this is the thing about these Palantir people. Like, first of all, he's one of the smartest engineers in the world, which is why he ended up working at Palantir. Tesla 346, but he's also super ambitious. And when you're super ambitious, as cool as Palantir is, you might want to go take the road less traveled. And that's what he's doing with this. So nonetheless, we did get some good home sales. And shout out to Mateo raising a $15 million Series A. Dude, raising, he's only 24, bro. Raising 15 million at 24 is kind of freaking crazy, bro. To be 24 and for someone to be like, hey, take $15 million, go change the world, not easy to do. So very, very proud of him and super incredible to see how he's playing this out. Also, he's an immigrant. He wasn't even born in the United States. So he's done all of this while navigating the challenges of getting a visa. And, you know, he's really pulled it off. Hims right here, 47.21. That's up about or down 26%. AMD trying to go for 52-week highs at 132.60. Tesla looks like it wants to break 347 right here, 346.51. Grab 457. Google 166. That's recovering a little bit. SoFi goes green. And then the S&P still green right here on the day as well. Rocket Lab is pumping. Is Rocket Lab pumping? Rocket Lab is pumping, up 7%. I don't know why Rocket Lab's up, but it's pumping. Fed Michelle Baumann, the one of the voting members, says it's time to consider adjusting the policy rate open to cutting rates as soon as July FOMC meeting if inflation pressures stay contained. Wow. Hold on. That's a big quote. Baumann just said she's open to cutting in July. Hold on. Let's get a little update on that. That could be why the S&P is trending upwards right now.
Tariffs and the progress on tariff negotiations could lead, as she expects to lead, to a less risky economic environment. The tariff impact could take longer, be more delayed, and smaller than expected. Higher prices from tariff ceases are being offset by other factors. She does talk about the current conflict in the Middle East, saying it could lead to higher commodity prices. Part of another section of her remarks where she just still has some concerns about.
Circle's up 15%. Circle is up 15%. I don't know what the hell is happening. Either we're looking at a bubble in real time or this is the greatest stablecoin story in history, but Circle is up 15%. Rocket Lab 32 as well.
Inflation, but overall, she says we should put more weight on the downside risk to employment. Guys, this is a potentially significant development when it comes to how the committee is thinking and where it may be moving.
I know we don't want to go here, Steve. Fed is not political, right? They don't make their decisions that way. However, it is notable that she, is Republican, appointed by Republican president, another one, who is looking through the tariff price increases, while some of the Democrats on the committee, Adriana Kugler, for instance, the governor who was appointed by the Biden administration, are more worried about the inflationary effect. It's sort of like what we see in the University of Michigan sentiment.
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely have that. You could definitely do that delineation. It leaves Powell a little bit of an odd man out in that regard, Sarah, because he seems to be also more worried about tariffs and more wait and see approach. I think it's a bit about taking a flyer on Trump's policies and the extent to which Fed officials are willing to roll the dice and go with the data that they saw in May.
And the data was good. Like, it's not even rolling the dice. The data was good. I mean, we know the data was better than good. It was phenomenal in regards to CPI, PPI, and core PCE. So it's not crazy that Baumann is thinking, hey, it's time to maybe cut. Also, Waller on Friday, he was saying it's time to cut. So you're starting to get some of these Fed officials come out and publicly say, if we get Kashkari and say it's time to cut, then we're getting a cut. I still think we're not getting a cut in July. I think it's September, but at least they're warming up to the idea. SMCI right here down about 5%. Bitcoin 102.5. Apple 201. Palantir 139. Nvidia 143. Tessie 345. Hoodie 78.27. Him still down basically 30% of the day. AMD trying to crack 133. Archer goes green and Circle again continues. Archer right here, $10. Circle continues to pump. Okay, let me put a poll in the chat. Is Circle a bubble? Simple question, yes or no? Remember, bubble is defined as 50% drawdown is coming for this stock, which means this would have to be closer to like what, 140 or 125-ish? I don't know. I don't know if it gets there. Nubank, is that green? That's down. Nubank's down. And then Oscar goes green. Oscar was down 7%. That one's about to go green. Down only 1% right now. DoorDash got upgraded today. So that one's up 3%. Grab still up 1.5. Reddit 138. Amazon's about to go green as well. Pretty much everything's inflecting a little bit to the green side. Good PMI data and good home sales data. I mean, both of those things definitely helping broader markets. Where is Rocket Lab? Let me check resistance here on Rocket Lab. Rocket Lab 32.36. All right, so let's check resistance on AMD and Rocket Lab. AMD first. We need 133, right? AMD 132.82. 133 has. Did we hit 133 already? AMD. Oh, yeah, we hit 133. Okay, so 134. 134 needs 28,000 shares. Again, not crazy. Yeah, it did hit 133. And then Rocket Lab to get to 33 needs 88,000 shares. 88,000 shares. Robinhood should be releasing their third offer for crypto season soon. Yeah, they will. Right now, if you deposit any dollars into Robinhood, you automatically get entered into win 5 Bitcoin. So if you deposit $10,000 into Robinhood, you get 10,000 entries, and they're giving away 5 Bitcoin by July 7th. So, yeah, I mean, it's probably low odds to win it, but nonetheless, the more you deposit, the better shot you have of potentially winning some Bitcoin. Why is Rocket Lab? I don't know. Does anyone know why Rocket Lab's up? I don't think they announced a deal today or a launch or anything. Kind of feels like space in general getting a little bit of a bid. ASTS right here also trying to get back to all-time highs, 47.12. But you are seeing the entire market kind of turn a little bit. Again, markets are saying Tesla 343, we don't care about this geopolitical stuff. Quite frankly, we don't think it's going to last and be that big of an issue. And again, I've said it over and over again, the hedge funds did not buy when retail bought in March and April. And if there is a 5% dip for whatever reason, they are going to deploy capital. They need to. Unless they genuinely think we're heading into a recession in the latter half of the year. And if you don't think that's going to happen, which the labor market's not saying that's going to happen, inflation's not saying that's going to happen, earnings growth is not saying that's going to happen, World War III so far isn't saying that's going to happen. So, I mean, like, why would you not buy stocks if you're, managing a sophisticated amount of money? You have to get some exposure. And that just means dips probably tend to get bought. Black Sky as well. That one I think is getting some love today. Black Sky, yeah, that's up 8%. This is a geospatial intelligence product. Palantir used to have an investment in them, but I think they sold out. This one up 8% as well. Oh, Rocket Lab got a price target? Okay, that makes sense. If they got upgraded today, that's probably helping them. 32.22 right here on Rocket Lab. We're going to have Tom Lee on CNBC in about 5 minutes, so then we'll see his take on what's going on. But he'll be on in a little bit as well. Lemonade is ripping. Lemonade is ripping up 6%. That one is green. 10-year is up a little bit right now. Is Qubit still down? Qubit, that one, dude, even Qubit was down 20%. Now it's barely down 8%. I mean, barely down is not the right wording, but you get my point, right? It's not down 20% anymore. Like QBTS was down 5%. That one now down 2%. Like, dude, we got a resilient market, folks. We have a resilient market that does not look like it wants to get hit. By the way, Barclays said 275 on Tesla. They said Tesla's Robotaxi launch in Austin, Tesla was rather uneventful with no major issues and in our opinion, largely in line with expectations. Tesla ran a small driverless fleet in a geosense area with access only given to a limited number of users. Bulls will point to yesterday's event as the start of a new era for Tesla, one which bulls and believers have been waiting for a long time. They see the tech working well with a clear path of scaling. Bulls will point to yesterday's event as just the beginning of an exciting path of growth. We appreciate this view and we believe this further reinforces the Robotaxi AV thesis. However, we also believe the much better question ahead is on the path of scaling, which we believe will be long, and we caution against over optimism. So you do have Barclays getting a little bit more bearish on this day. ASTS isn't moving. ASTS 47.60. Rocket Lab broke 32.50. And next up is 33. The high of the year is 33.34 on Rocket Lab. So that one we've got to see. 87% of you said Circle is a bubble. 87% say Circle is a bubble. Rocket Lab just pushed my port to all-time high. Dude, put in the chat if you are heavy in Rocket Lab. Like heavy meaning like, I don't know, more than 10% of your portfolio is Rocket Lab. Put in the chat. How many Rocket Labbies do we have in the chat? Robin at 78. Resistance on 80 on Robin because we did crack 79 is 43,000 shares. 43,000 shares for Robinhood. Matt says I may have a position in Rocket Lab. Matt, we need you to be 95% Rocket Lab, bro. Otherwise, we don't know if you're bullish enough. We need you to really let us know how bullish you are. June's got some Rocket Lab. Chell's got some Rocket Lab. Icewater's got Rocket Lab. Nico, 16% Rocket Lab. Goodness, dude. Okay, put in the chat, when did you guys find Rocket Lab? When did you find it? Like either your average or the date. You can tell me when you found it. Like when you really started getting excited about this one. Jed's now only 65%, 15,000 shares. Okay, so Jed, you probably trimmed a little bit there. But yeah, put when you found this company. Tesla, 347. She wants 350, folks. She wants 350. Absolutely wants 350 here. Is Him still getting hit? Hims, dude, there's no buyers on Hims, bro. Where's the buyers? Because I mean, at most it was down 44.70. It's at 45.10. That's not that different. So no one's really stepping in and saying that they're ready to buy. Volume on Hims today is Circle up 15% still. Volume on Hims is 58 million. Their average volume is 40 million. So in the past 40 minutes, they've traded a lot more than their daily. But no one's really buying yet. Okay, a lot of you guys are like late 2023, early 2024, which makes sense. That means you guys have some pretty old averages. Was a holder in single digits, sold at 10. All right, still made a decent return. Irwin 2024, started buying at $5. They did SPAC. This was one of the SPACs that actually worked out. Like SoFi and Rocket Lab are the SPACs that worked out. Rocket Lab obviously has done very well from a share price perspective, but most of the other SPACs have not really had the type of momentum that a Rocket Lab has had. Look, Peter Beck is a rock star, bro. You need, and by the way, you know what Peter Beck does? He talks to Matt Money and Vince on Rocket Lab Weekly. Yeah, this guy's from New Zealand, and he takes the time out of his day to like communicate with passionate retail investors. I'm just saying, like, not the worst thing in the world to talk to your supporters, especially when they're dedicating a decent chunk of time to analyze your company. Just kind of feel like you should be a little grateful that people actually care about your company. Like if I was the CEO of a public company and people were spending hours of their life every day dedicated to understanding my company, I would want to say hello to them. I feel like that's not the craziest thing in the world, especially if I'm building something legit. If I'm building GameStop or AMC, it's whatever, right? Because in the back of my head, I would say, well, those people are probably wasting their time. But if I'm building, the next big thing and you have some people that are supporting you, it's always nice. Just you get some good love from actually communicating with those people. All right, Tom Lee's on. Let's see what Mr. Tom Lee has to say.
Energy, led by consumer discretionary this morning. Joining us here at Post 9 is Tom Lee, Fundstrat Global Advisors, Head of Research, and Fundstrat Capital Chief Investment Officer, also a CNBC contributor. Tom, it's good to have you. Welcome. Talk about confounding expectations, wouldn't you say? What do you make of this morning's action?
Well, in some ways it's not a surprise because, as you know, like Art Cashin had the adage, sell the buildup, buy the invasion. And I think today is an example of that markets were kind of already nervous and anxious, and we've already saw de-risking, and the VIX was already elevated. So I think in some ways this is probably pretty typical.
Does it change your call for the rest of the year at all? And you think it displaces any other priorities or has any effect on bill passage or how that might get constructed?
In some ways, it actually strengthens the case for stocks to do better into year-end, because at the start of this year, we would have said U.S. bombing a nuclear facility is a black swan. Oil would be 120. Stocks should be down 10%. And then we have the event, and oil is not really surging, and stocks are up. So I'd almost say that you've put another stress test into the market. We've seen it pass it, and I think it means stocks should do pretty well into year-end.
You think Hormuz remains a risk?
I do, but Brian Sullivan was off camera was mentioning a lot of strategic reasons why that may not be the case. I'm sure he's going to have his views, but I would say I'm watching oil, and if oil isn't surging, then I think it just means that the risk of the straits being closed is lower.
I guess when you think about the impact for U.S. stocks and bonds and the dollar, it comes down to growth and inflation. expectations? And the key, Tom, is whether either of those things have changed in light of recent geopolitical events.
Yeah, and as you know, core CPI doesn't include energy. And as you know, when the ECB looks at core inflation, they exclude housing. Housing is not part of ECB's core CPI, and they're cutting. If you calculated US CPI on the same exact basis, it's lower than Europe. So I do think there should be a dovish tilt towards the Fed, or that's the upside opportunity into year end as well.
Tom, there seems to be a speculative nature to the market that's creeping in again. I wonder if it's a concern. And when I say that, I'm talking about the reception of some of the IPOs. I mean, granted, very well received, but Circle's now got a $62 billion market value. CoreWeave, almost 90 billion. You got a lot of SPACs coming back. I don't know if you've seen it. Yeah. Even Chamath is coming back with some SPACs. Any concern to you or no?
It is. I mean, those are echoes of 2021, which is some stocks get fantastically bizarre valuations, and I'm not naming any. And
you want to name some?
And then there is signs of speculation. And but the one thing that was true in 2021 that's not true now is when I meet with fund managers, in 2021, they said there was no stock they could buy because everything was expensive. That's actually not true anymore. Now the people I talk to are saying, look, the numbers have been better and numbers are going up, but the macro is making them uncertain. So there's actually a lot less risk taking by institutional investors.
So I mean, to the extent a speculative part of the market is something you monitor, it's not hitting a level that is that concerning to you.
Yeah, I mean, to me, David, it's the sign that the cohort that is speculating are the ones that bought the dip in April. As you know, it was retail, the Robinhood community that was buying in April when institutions were selling and raising cash and high net worth was raising cash. So it's the same crew now that is buying, the circles at one times assets under management, which is tremendous, but it's not speculation to me yet because I'd say high net worth is not really that invested and institutions are still pretty cautious.
So what is the underlying?
I'm not sure if I necessarily understand that argument there, why it's not speculation. He says institutions are still cautious, but that doesn't mean that retail is not speculating to an extent. By the way, Tesla 350. Tesla 350. She wanted it. She got it. Tesla up 9% of the day. 350 on Tessie.
View that you have that makes you bullish? Is it that the economy is hanging in? Is it that earnings are picking up?
Well,
what's the fundamental reason?
I think when we look at macro, on the margin, things are better. We have better visibility on tariffs into 2026. We have regulation and tax legislation visibility into 2026. I think the Fed is now being questioned about their unwillingness to cut. I mean, it was apparent 5 out of the 10 questions during the press conference were about that exact question. So there's a dovish Fed. I know consumers are overly cautious right now, but as you know, inflation expectations are far above CPI. That's a positive surprise if delivered inflation's lower. And then businesses have been really resilient. I mean, I think actually the economy might be weakening, but earnings have been better. So overall, with all the cash on the sidelines, I mean, I would say we should be quite bullish, actually.
Tom, we'll talk again soon. Thanks.
Yeah,
Tom Lee.
And to that point, after the Bowman comments this morning, 2 cuts are now fully priced in and now 20% chance of a third. Coming up.
All right, Tom Lee's bullish, and he did say Tesla would lead the V-shape. Well, folks, we're in a V-shape, and if Tesla's not leading it, it's still doing pretty damn well. 352. I mean, where is she going? Is she going to 360? Is she going to 360? This is the market obviously saying we don't care about auto sales. We don't care about earnings. Tesla's up 10% right here, added basically $120 billion in market cap. This is the market saying we care about robotaxis, or these are retail investors just buying into the hype of robotaxi, even though there's not going to be any meaningful impact on the bottom line. That's also a possibility. But that doesn't mean the stock has to fall back down, even if it is just pure hype and momentum at the moment. And again, we're going to get a crappy earnings. We all know we're going to get a crappy earnings. But if the dip is 350 to 320 on earnings, that's not that bad, right? Because if it was at 320, we'd be at 290 if we got that type of earnings. So it just kind of raises the floor. 353 resistance, let me check right here, is 9,000 shares. Again, not a lot. 9,000 shares. Where's Hims? Is Hims down even further? Oh my goodness, bro. 32% down. Yeah, people are selling hair loss pills and they're buying Robotaxis. Tim Waltz is absolutely crying somewhere. 360 resistance on Tesla. Let's check. 360. Got to get through a lot of dollars to get there, but 360 at that actual price, the amount of shares that are willing to be sold, 107,000, which again is not that crazy. It's not that crazy. You got to get through a bunch of the parts in the middle, but not too crazy if it wants to get there. Palantir, by the way, back to 140. Palantir up 2.3%. Palantir as well, back to 140. Trump just tweeted. Okay, let's see. Whoa. Okay, so Trump said two things. He said to the Department of Energy, drill, baby, drill, and I mean now, with exclamation points. Number two, he said, get Thomas Massie of Kentucky out of office. He's a bum. Holy crap, dude. You know, a lot of people like Thomas Massie. A lot of people. He's a Republican, too. He's not a Democrat. A lot of people like Thomas Massie, but he's kind of against this big, beautiful bill. He didn't like the Iran attacks. Trump just called him a bum just now. Do you guys think Trump actually tweets, or do you think he tells like his secretary what to say? Arrow, by the way, wow. It was down 20%. Now it's up 16%. Tesla 353. Dude, what a Monday morning. Pretty damn bullish. Obviously, it's a great day if you're heavy in Tesla, but even AMD holding on, S&P trying to get back to 6,000, like seeing some momentum. I feel like Trump actually puts out the tweets, or at least he specifically tells his secretary what to say in the tweets. And if he types them out, then I guess he spends a decent chunk of his time just like writing these out on his phone. He definitely tells someone to put the caps lock on. Yeah, I think it always sounds like he's yelling, like when he has the caps lock. I did see one of the videos. He was watching the Harris debate a while ago in the summer, and he was telling his secretary what to type while she was talking. So yeah, he probably. But I just wonder on like with drill baby drill, does he have a secretary there in front of him, or does he just pull out his phone and is like, I'm going to tweet drill baby drill? I'm always curious how he does it. Zeta, yeah, we know that one's still moving. Again, I don't know enough about that company, but that one's up 22% of the day. I don't know if there's a fundamental reason for this to pump, but I do know that FinTwit is getting excited about this one. So that one's moving. Oscar is trying to get back to green. Nebius is almost getting back to green. Oscar still down on the day, not fully green yet. And then Tesla, a close above 350 would be gigantic for Tesla. Palantir 140, Robin at 78, and then NVIDIA kind of stuck at that 143 level. Dude, Hims, this is ugly. This is ugly. 32%. Is anyone who's deep in Hims actually think that they deserve to be down this much? Like, in a non-biased way, do you think they deserve to be down 30% based on this? I am still in Hims, yes. I will let you guys know if I sell Hims. I'm still in Hims. I'm not selling just because of this. Like this is just if you're going to make it a real investment, if it's not just a trade, you have to live with this stuff. This stuff happens. It is what it is. I don't think 5 years from now this is going to be the big bear case on Hims. And the covered call premiums are great too. And so my covered calls are up, a lot today. That's great. But now I'm more curious about diving into, is this a buy the dip? We're $3 away from going below 40, folks. That would be the 30s. That would be kind of incredible to see, especially with all the momentum it had for one Novo partnership, which, by the way, Novo's potentially going to sue them on deceptive marketing. Novo's a freaking pharmaceutical company. And they're a $300 billion. When we talk about decepting advertising and false marketing, it's definitely something for a pharmaceutical company to sue another pharmaceutical company about bad advertising. So if those lawsuits do go into place, Novo has a lot of cash to sue the crap out of Hims, but the truth merit of it maybe isn't the best. When Novo sues you, the whole state of Denmark sues. Oh my gosh. Goodness, bro. Goodness. Hims was selling compounded GLP-1s as branded Ozempic. That is definitely deceptive. I mean, look, there is an argument there. Can't say there's not an argument. And I don't think Ozempic or GLP-1s are the story to Hims. Like, that's not the Hims pitch that I've been told. That's like the cherry on top towards like their actual growth thesis. So hopefully that's not, something the street cares about too much. But at least on a day like this, the street absolutely does think this is going to be bad for them. Tesla right here, 352, NVIDIA 143, Palantir 141. Wow. Palantir and Tesla both continuing to hold on to their momentum. Let me check resistance at 142 on Palantir. 142, 101,000 shares. 101,000 shares. Brand damage matters more than anything for Hims. I would agree with that. And that's uniquely because, remember, Hims, their growth comes from marketing and brand loyalty that they develop with their marketing efforts. So if they lose some of that core group of people that, care about the brand, that could be bad. Now, granted, I don't think this is what really hurts their brand by any sense, but that could also be the risk being factored in right now. In terms of updates on Palantir, we had a Palantir Weekly on Friday. We talked about a lot of the main stuff. The New York Times stuff seems to have died down. We're going to have earnings in about a month and a half, so we have some time before earnings. Obviously, it could be Palantir being used in Israel and the United States right now with the Iranian stuff, sure. And I think, the market's kind of pricing that in. But other than that, no other crazy updates on Palantir. At least not right now. Guarantee normies do not care about the Hims drama, nor would they care even if they did. Yeah, I agree. I think investors care right now, but if you're getting ED pills from Hims or hair loss pills from Hims, you probably don't care about Novo Nordisk right now. Okay, so what else do we have moving? Tesla 351, that's chilling out a little bit right here, down from 353. Let's see if that holds on to the pump. Dell is flat, GameStop flat, Rocket Lab also a bit down from 3260. DoorDash flat, Nubank flat. Let's look at the semis. They are pretty much mixed today. ASML slightly up 2%. AMD's up about 2%. NVIDIA's flat. Micron, that one's up 40% year to date. Earnings are June 25th, so that's going to be a big one that we got to watch out for. And then Broadcom right here, down about 1% as well. Roblox is moving. That's up 2%. That one not doing too bad. Zeta is pumping. And then Google. Can we have a conversation about Google? What the hell are we doing with Google, bro? Are we buying the dip on Google? Let's put that in the chat. Are we buying the dip on Google? 85% of you said circle's a bubble. Are we buying the dip on Google? I put this out on Twitter yesterday or on Saturday. I got a lot of mixed answers, dude. Like literally 50% of people were like, they're the next Yahoo. And the other 50% were like, this is the most undervalued opportunity in the history of the market. And so it is definitely not easy to kind of assess where this goes. 10 years down. Are we down on the 10-year today? Yeah, wow, 4.32. Dude, I think this is why Basent is pumping stablecoins so much. He knows that all these stablecoins are going to have to buy these treasuries, which is really good for him and yields. Maybe that's why Circle's being pumped up, bro. Maybe Basent told all of his fancy hedge fund friends to just buy the crap out of Circle because the market needs to believe in stablecoins in order to get more treasury demand. And maybe he said he'll do them a solid later if they just buy up some Circle. Maybe that's what's happening. Maybe. Circle right here getting some love. Albert, thanks for the super chat. It seems hypocritical when Big Pharma labels a company exploiting market gaps as a fraudster while they often deploy similar tactics themselves. Long Hims. I agree. Granted, it still means that Hims is going to have to deal with a lawsuit, but I do agree that, the idea that they're deceptive, a lot of these pharmaceutical companies are pretty deceptive. Bsop says the better Gemini gets, the worse it is for their Google ad business, but they need Gemini to get better for AI race. Catch 22 for Google. I think this comment right there sums it up about why the market is worried about this thing. Like Gemini has to get better for all their other AI products to get better. And Gemini is pretty damn good right now, 2.5. But the better it gets, the more again, here's a question to everybody. Do you actually click on links when you search on Google? Because honestly, bro, I think out of the thousands of searches I've done since ChatGPT really came out back in, like when I started using it, which would be early 2024, I don't click on links. I think it has to be very specific. Like I'm looking for a restaurant and I need to go to their website. But who clicks on links? Who actually goes to Google and scrolls through? Like who actually clicks on page 2? And if you're not on page 1, you're done. It's over. So it's like, and if anything, I use Google, but I use the AI overview. And then if I'm really curious, I go deeper. But maybe for shopping, I get it. But for information, for like, you know, if I wanted to know, the history of, you know, let's call it, if I wanted to learn more about World War II, I guess. Like, and I wanted a specific question about World War II. Like, I don't go to a website for that. I ask ChatGPT and I get a ton of information about World War II. Or you click on Reddit a lot, right? Because you want to get crowdsourced information, but not necessarily these authoritative sources that rank on Google. Doug says, I get the answer I search for on Google, but I'm rarely asking for a link, which is normally just Reddit or YouTube. Yeah, and see, YouTube, I think is going to be fine because everyone, like, people want to watch the video to like get the information. But in terms of reading, if you can just get the answer summarized to you, it just feels like you're not going to click on links as much anymore. I've been using Gemini to summarize YouTube videos instead of watching. They're really good for that. Yeah, well, that also as well, right? So like Gemini can summarize the YouTube videos if you don't want to watch it. But the core thing about Google's PPC business is you kind of need to click. It's called pay-per-click for a reason in order for them to get paid. And again, that doesn't mean SEO is dying anytime soon. It just means that the trend, if the market's forward looking, is, hey, in 10 years, how many people are realistically going to be clicking on links to get answers? And if there's not a lot, then there's going to be some issues. Is Reddit down today? Reddit is 138. So again, the risk with Reddit is that a lot of their search traffic comes from Google. And if Google links aren't clicked on anymore, Reddit's not going to get clicked on as much. Now, granted, Reddit is starting to rank in a lot of the, what do you call it? The generative AI engines like a ChatGPT. And actually, Sam Altman talked about that at the Y Combinator AI school. But Reddit still gets a ton of traffic from Google, you know, and if that traffic is not as aggressive anymore, then that's one of the issues. Let me see if I can find that clip right here. He basically talked about how they want to be helping you with AI versus competing against you. Let's see if I can find the clip, but it was a good clip where he talked about how generative engine optimization. Yeah, there's a clip right here about how they can help.
Look like here? You know, one of the classic questions is, you know, how do I start a startup that doesn't get run over by OpenAI? That's sort of the number one question that's in our chat.
We don't want to run you over. Look, we're going to do our thing, hopefully very well. We are going to try to make the best super assistant out of ChatGPT that we can. We're going to add the things that we think we need to add to that. But that is like one small part of the opportunity in front of us. And it makes us sad when people are like, I'm going to start a new startup and I'm going to like make a version of ChatGPT, because we think we're going to do that pretty well. And we have like, you know, kind of a big head start. But there is so much more space to go after. And there are so many incredible other companies that have been built using our platform. We would like to make it easier for you all. We would like to do more things. Like finally now, you can imagine that ChatGPT could drive a lot of traffic to new startups, and that there's like a new kind of app or agent or whatever you want to call it, store that we could do inside of ChatGPT and drive traffic to new startups to help. You could imagine that we could do like a sign-in with OpenAI and people could bring their, you know, personalized model and easily connect it to a new startup, and that would probably help in a bunch of ways. So we want to be a platform for other people to build stuff.
So again, you know, that's what Google is. Google is a platform for other people to discover new websites, products, services, etc. If ChatGPT says, hey, this is what we want to do, we want to be the modern version of how people discover things, you know, that is the headwind ultimately for Google. Now, again, I don't think that means Google is dead. It just means that there's a way they're going to have to figure out how to navigate that overall narrative and what that's going to do to the future of search. Granted, I do think a year from now, this thing is $200 because the sheer volume of free cash flow they do is going to be something the street can't ignore. Like if you're a hedge fund manager right now, you either think, okay, I'm not touching Google because like, is Google narrative's bad? Or, hey, I missed the entire run this year. What's the one thing that's down 12%? Oh, Google. Wait a second. Google down 12%? It's freaking Google. I'm going to buy some Google. And I feel like if you are under allocated this whole year and you need something cheap, you're not buying Apple. I mean, you could buy Nvidia, but Nvidia's had a bit of a run. You're not buying Meta at 700. You're not buying Microsoft because that stock doesn't really move that much. It's had a good year, but you can't expect massive gains out of it now. You're probably not at liberty to buy Tesla because you're taking a lot of risk buying it at these levels, which means what's left is Google. And so I feel like a bid from big money could come onto Google pretty easily as well. Has Hims responded? Hims has not responded. I'll go to their Twitter right here, but I don't think they've responded to anything that came out today. Yeah, no official response. No official response yet. I would imagine by end of day, we're going to get something from them. Tesla trying to get to 354. Nvidia 143.70. Hims is at 44.70, still down 30%. Tessie 354. There she goes. 354. Let me check 355. I think it's about 30,000 shares. Palantir as well, 141.27. Dude, what a day for Tesla. What a freaking day. 355, 133,000 shares for Tesla. It's the future, man. It is the future. It is the future. Markets are betting on the future. It doesn't mean that it's cheap, but markets are choosing to look forward to the future. That means TSLL should be up 20%, bro. TSLL is up 20%. There you go. There you go. Where's Grab? Where's Grabby Grab? Grab 459, up 2%. My next buy on Grab is 420. We got to, or at least 430. We got to get to 430. About 1,500 shares on Friday. I have plenty of options. Again, my plan will be if we're still at the same price by the end of the year, I will convert the options into shares. I think we're closer to at least 650 by the end of the year, but we'll see. We'll see how this ends up playing out. And yeah, if we don't get to that 430, then I'm probably not going to be buying more here. Tesla 1 cent away, 1 cent away from 355. It hit 354.99. It's got 1 cent away. 1 cent. I did not buy Hims yet. Did not buy Hims. Let's see. 1 cent away. Maybe we get there. Is Rocket Lab moving still? That thing was stuck at Rocket Lab. Yeah, still at 32, down from 32.50. Amit, please tell us more about you, especially the newer subscribers. Well, I have a lot of clothes in my closet. So I tend to be in the closet every day to take out clothes since I have a lot of clothes in my closet. So that's something new about me. Pound right here, 141.84. 141.84. Jobless guy lives at home, talks on stream 24/7. Yeah, that's all you need to know. That's it. That was a good one, right, guys? That was a good one. Can't say that was a bad one. Dude, someone yesterday in the chat was like, I don't think I got to answer them, but like, because I was talking about Iran, Israel, but they were like, Amit, are you gay? Amit, are you gay? And I was just like, I'm talking about Iran, Israel. I can't answer this right now, but like, it was funny. Someone kept asking that. No, I am not gay. It is a persona that you guys like to give me because I get manicures and pedicures, which I don't think that means you're gay. I think that just means you enjoy getting a mani-pedi. That's all I think it means. But yeah, and in all seriousness, in terms of who I am, I studied business at Rutgers University, started multiple businesses. Some failed, some succeeded. The sort of way I kind of got into business was I was a nationally competitive debater. I did pretty good in high school. I won national debate championships. So that's why I can yap for 10 hours a day. And I got a passion for the stock market in around 2019, took my debate skills and turned it into YouTube videos about, in particular, Palantir, which kind of started this entire journey, dedicated 2.5 years of just exclusively talking about this stock. Really, I bet my entire reputation on Palantir. I was doing a podcast over the weekend with this guy from Singapore. And he was just like, so, what was your history like with Palantir? And I'm like, quite frankly, it's not about like the financial gains I've had in Palantir have changed my life. Absolutely changed my life. It is the reason why I'm here today. And it's, it's been monumental, but more than the financial gains, the reputational gains of just like betting everything on this one thing and then it working out is what matters more to me than just like the actual return on the stock itself. So I took a big bet with my reputation for 2.5 years covering this thing that no one cared about at the time. And obviously I didn't expect 140 in 2 years, but here we are. And, that kind of gave me the freedom to start thinking about a lot more things. And I'm not a perfect investor. I have a lot to learn. The only reason I think this channel is quite frankly doing as well as it's doing is because we have a community. By the way, Tesla 356, there she goes, up more than 10%. We have a community of people like Chris and Steve, people that are real mentors of mine that have helped me understand the markets. Chris helped me understand options, and Steve helps me, understand how to really fundamentally value a company. Like I think we have all these people that are part of the community that help me grow as an investor, because I am definitely not the best investor in the world. And I stream twice a day. So, you bring this community together twice a day, cover breaking news in the market. That's kind of how this entire journey has developed. And that's a little bit more about me. So debate background, I started a consulting firm to teach people debate back in college. That one has basically paid my bills for the past 4 or 5 years. Leveraged that to then start a YouTube channel, went all in on Palantir from a reputational perspective and from a portfolio perspective. And then kind of just diversified, And I think that's kind of the trajectory of a creator, right? Like if you're Leo DiCaprio and your big hit is Titanic, you can't just be the Titanic guy forever. You have to move on and you have to act in other films and see if you can capture people's attention in an Inception or a Wolf of Wall Street, etc. And so I think the ability to speak about other topics and kind of analyze the macro in and of itself, which I'm passionate for personally, even if I'm not perfect at it, I am passionate about trying to understand what the hell's going on in the market and break it down every day. That is kind of the evolution of the channel over the past couple years. And I also, for all the new subscribers, am a movie connoisseur. Okay, don't believe the chat when they say I'm not allowed to make movie references. I know a good chunk about the movie industry. Okay, I did LD. I did not do public forum. I did do public forum when I was a sophomore. I did LD for the majority of my 4 years in high school, and I also did policy. I actually got a bid in policy. For those that know what a bid is to the TOC, I got a bid in policy. So I was a senior. I had a sophomore on my team, and she was good, but she was a sophomore. I was a senior, and so I kind of carried that entire team throughout the tournament. It was in the Lakeland tournament in 2015, and we ended up getting to semis, and then we lost, but we got the bid. So yeah, I debated all types of debates, but LD was the main one I did. Bro, watched like 6 movies, 3 of them are musicals. Okay, to be fair, it's 10 movies and 3 of them are musicals. So we got to chill out here. I did watch Back to the Future. Okay, don't be disrespectful. I watched Back to the Future. I watched Back to the Future 2. I haven't seen the 3rd one though. I don't know if it's worth watching. It's like some cowboy shit. I hate cowboy movies, bro. It's Midwestern stuff. I can't stand that shit. So I just chose not to watch the 3rd one. But the 1st and 2nd one were great. Tesla right here, 355, up 10.03%. We got to 356.84 on the day for Tesla. I met Steve literally through a Twitter Spaces about Palantir, bro. He randomly hopped on, and then one day we started talking on Twitter Spaces. I followed him on Twitter, and then ever since then, we just kind of kept a connection. And then Friday, I saw him in person. So it's always cool when you can meet people because of a shared appreciation over a company, and it turns into a full friendship. So even though Steve doesn't like Palantir's valuation, the only reason I know Steve is because of Palantir. This is why I'm so grateful for the Palantir. Like I don't think about the gains on the stock. I think about what it's done for my life. And it's done more than I could ever ask for in terms of giving me a platform to speak about things, the relationships, the people that I've been able to meet, the journey of just like, cultivating a community. So I wouldn't know Steve without Palantir. I wouldn't know Chris without Chris. The first video I did with Chris was because he was invested in Palantir. Even if he sold early, he was invested in the thesis. He believed in them from a defense perspective because he's a vet. He also liked what they were doing in healthcare. And he just disagreed with the valuation over time. But, we met because of Palantir. Most of the people I know today is really because of Palantir. I may have you watched Aliens? No. That's a movie? Aliens? It's a movie? Aliens? Oh shit, 1986. Who's Bill Paxton? Bill Paxton, Carrie Henn, Lance Henriksen. Oh, never seen this. Aliens, 1986. All right. I'm not trolling, bro. I don't know who Bill Paxton is. I promise you. I'll click on this guy right now. I've never seen this guy in my life. He was in Titanic? What character was he in Titanic? Apollo 13, True Lies, Aliens, Tombstone. I haven't seen Tombstone either. I know about the movie, though. Steve wants me to watch it, but I haven't seen Tombstones. Dude, I'm not trolling. I don't know who Bill Paxton is. I'm sorry. Like, this is not Metallica, bro. I'm not trolling. Oh, he passed away in 2017. Yeah, I'm not even trying to be disrespectful, bro. I don't know the guy. I don't know this person. Like, I'm not trying to be, I'm not doing the Metallica here. I really don't. I don't know. Is it a good movie though? Is Aliens? What's the IMDb? Aliens IMDb. I'm gonna say it's like an 8 out of 10. What do they give it? 8.4 out of 10. All right. I'll put it on the list. I'll put it on the list. I'll watch it. I will watch it. Where's Circle? Where's Circle? Palantir 141. Circle. Of course, 270. It got to 283. Oh my goodness, bro. Oh my goodness. Dude, is Aliens going to be like Terminator though? Because Terminator, the graphics were really not like, I didn't enjoy it, to be honest. Like, if I'm going to watch Aliens, like, I don't want it to be just because they have a bunch of graphics about like 1980 CGI. I want there to be like a real story there. And yeah, I would hope there's like an actual story. We got some coverage on Novo. Let's see this right here. Let's see if they talk about HIMSS as well, but we have some coverage on Novo.
Angelica Peebles. Morning, Angelica.
Morning, Carl. That's right. Novo this weekend at a medical meeting sharing the full results from some of its next generation obesity drugs. And one of those drugs is CagriSema. And so going into this, we knew that the shot produced similar weight loss to Lilly's Zepbound, but we also learned this weekend that CagriSema has slightly more side effects. And that, of course, begs the question, why would doctors prescribe it over Zepbound, something that they're already using and they're comfortable with? But even more important to Novo's future is another drug called amycretin. And that drug showed promising weight loss, but there were some concerning rates of side effects in a small early stage trial. They're already going to phase 3, but again, some questions there. So this was not quite the weekend that Novo wanted to quiet those doubts about the pipeline. And then also this morning, the company is announcing that it's pulling Wegovy from telehealth platforms HIMSS and Hers just 1 month into this collaboration because HIMSS continues to sell compounded GLP-1s on the site.
We expected that the efforts towards compounding personalization would diminish over time. When we didn't see that, we had to make a choice on behalf of patients.
And so HIMSS was one site where Novo was selling Wegovy at a lower price. And so patients could switch from a compounded version when that FDA ban took effect. And they are still working with other telehealth sites, but of course, putting that into question this morning, guys.
It's pretty damning, their statement, that they failed to adhere to the law, which prohibits mass sales of compounded drugs under the false guise of personalization. They talk about false marketing that puts patient safety at risk. Do we expect some legal fallout here, lawsuits?
It is quite a damning statement. And what's interesting, though, is that HIMSS never said that they were going to stop selling this compounded drug. And so I think that's raising some questions this morning about what exactly happened on Novo's end. And when I talked to Dave Moore, I asked him what changed. And he kept just repeating that line over and over, that they expected that they would pivot that business, and that has not happened. It's possible. We, of course, have seen quite a lot of legal action from both Lilly and Novo against these compounders. But again, it really comes down to the FDA's enforcement of the compounders. And these are the sites, they would tell you that they're just selling the drugs. And so that's something that they're allowed to do.
Lilly shares are up this morning. Novo obviously down, in part because I think of what you were just saying, Angelica, in terms of the potential side effect profile of some of their newer drugs. But Lilly also sharing some new data or existing data, I don't know, on its pill for obesity.
Yeah, Lilly, on the other hand, having a great weekend at that conference, the ADA in Chicago. They have their full results from that pill, and they're
all right. So that's the coverage on HIMSS. Novo basically saying we don't think personalization is going to be a big deal in the future. cutting off ties with Hims, down 30%. Tessie did get to 356, could not get above 357, but currently right now at 353. Let's get an update on the ETFs today. Let's see how they're doing. We looked at it in the morning. Here is the update as of basically 11 a.m. today. I am up 0.24%. I'm green finally. Steve is down 3%. Tanner's down 0.3. Matt's up 7. Chris is down 1. So it's Matt, me, Tanner, Steve, Chris. Matt, me, Tanner, Steve, Chris. Currently right now. Chris is getting hit by Novo the hardest today. Matt's benefiting from Oscar the most all time. ABCL is helping him. Rocket Lab's helping him a lot today. I'm getting helped by AMD today the most, and Tesla. I forgot. I have Tesla. I got Tessie. Dude. Dude, Tesla's going to take me to the promised land. Tesla's going to take me there. Steve is getting hit the most by Hims. But for Steve to only be down 3% after Hims is down 24% means the rest of his portfolio is doing pretty well in terms of holding him afloat. And then Tanner is down the most because of App 11. But Coinbase is helping balance that out a little bit as well. So there you go. Tesla 352. My strike price for the Hims covered calls was 59. So those have obviously done pretty well today. Yeah, I don't think Hims will get to 59 by Friday. I mean, maybe it does, dude. Maybe this reverses from 44 to 59, but yeah, I don't. I mean, like, it's a pretty nasty move now to the downside. Tanner says, coin is my gold, app is my trash. Yeah, I think all of us have one big winner, one big loser. So my big loser so far is Visa. My big winner is Tesla. Steve's biggest loser is Hims. His biggest winner is Micron. Tanner is Coinbase and then app. Matt's biggest winner is Oscar. Matt's biggest loser, quite frankly, is Dutch Bros, which isn't even that bad. And then Chris's biggest loser is Novo. Also, Novo. And his biggest winner is Cisco. Wait, no, is it? No, it's his biggest loser is Novo. His biggest winner is Cisco and Marvell. So we all have one winner, one loser as of now. Okay, what else do we see? Hims reversing or not short term is going to depend on their own press release. Yeah, they haven't, dude, it's been a few hours. You would think they respond by now, but they haven't. So that is also, I think they're trying to figure out what they say here because they're going to try to be on the offensive and try to frame this as like not the worst thing in the world for them. But I also think they have to acknowledge the reality of the fact that, they're definitely getting hit pretty badly. Mr. Green, thanks for the $10 super chat. What percentile is your net worth chilling in for your age? Been watching a ton of net worth videos and loving them. Okay, so let's pull something up and let's see. Net worth by age average percentiles. I'm not going to say my net worth because I would like to keep that private, but I am curious what the average is. Okay, so let's pull this up right here. So this is the chart. Net worth percentiles by age. Everyone can see this, right? Yeah. Okay, so I'm 27. So the average 27-year-old has $120,000 net worth. The bottom 25% of people in my age have a $3,700 net worth. The top 1% have a $2.1 million net worth at my age. If you're 50, your average 50-year-old is at least at $1 million. Your top 1% is at 13 million. 65, your top 1% is 22. Your average is 1.8. And then if you're in your 30s, the average net worth 35 is 500,000. I guess this is the way they kind of I mean, obviously there's a lot of different ways to delineate what net worth should look like. But this seems to be I think this is relatively accurate. Like 25 to 29, your net worth is 120 grand. That doesn't mean you have 120 grand liquid, but that means that all your assets together, whether it's a car or maybe some level of side income you have, obviously your salary, and you put all that stuff together, that can get you to that level. How do they get these figures? I've never been asked my age and net worth. Who's doing these surveys? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't sound that off though. Like you would think. Now, granted, it is weird though. At 18 years old, 18 to 24, they're saying the average net worth is 112,000. I don't know if that's necessarily accurate. But granted, these kids, they are going, they're going way faster than a lot of people before. This is on wealthtender.com. It looks like they looked at a Fed survey to try to project this. I'll put this in the chat if anyone wants to read it. But that's what their projections are. Palantir right here, 140, Tessie 353, and then a hoodie 77 on the day. Yeah, 112,000 at 18. How much was my net worth at 18? I think I had my consulting firm. That was like my side hustle. But do we count debt? Because I had college debt. Like, do we have to count that into net worth, right? You have to subtract your debt. I definitely didn't have 100 grand at 18. I definitely didn't have 100 grand at 18. So, I mean, yes, not all the estimates could be part of the chat. Top 75% still don't have debt. Yeah, and also, it doesn't take into effect if you have strategic debt, right? Because again, what a lot of rich people do is they borrow against their assets. And in the context of the stock market, for all of us, that is essentially taking out a margin loan. Now, again, you shouldn't take margin if you don't understand the implications of margin. Margin is obviously very risky. But a lot of high net worth individuals, they do not sell their Palantir if they bought it at 20 and it's at 140. They borrow against it at a really cheap rate. And then they pay the interest on the margin and they use the money to go do whatever they want to do without selling the asset itself. Yeah, it doesn't feel like that chart is counting debt at all. Maybe they are, but it didn't feel like that on initially what it looked like. Yeah, aka leverage. Yeah, they leverage up. There's certain types of leverage, right? There's certain leverage where like you're betting on Tesla call options next week and you're doing it on margin. Like that's very scary, right? Like that's a different type of leverage. But there's other leverage where if you can get freaking, if you're worth 10 million and you can get 2 million paying 5% a year to borrow that 2 million, and that 2 million you use to get more than that 5% or pay for your bills, but you can afford that 5% because of the gains of the 10 million portfolio that's invested. Like that's very strategic. That's a very strategic use case of having a larger portfolio and borrowing it against it as well. So Tanner says that 18 to 24-year-olds should have debt in the averages. Yeah, because pretty much every 18 to 24-year-old has some type of debt, at least college debt or a college loan. And it's weird that it's not necessarily using that in the projection. Circle right here, 275. Circle still green. Circle is still green. Let's see if I can find another chart. Net worth by average percentile. Let's see if there's a different chart. No, it's the same thing. There's another website. Same exact thing. Look at this. 18 to 24, 112,000, 25 to 20. I think these are numbers they got from the BLS. That's why these numbers are the same. Let's just go to Grok and ask. Let's see what Grok says. Give me a chart on what my net worth should be based on median percentile for my age. Show me ages 18 to 75. All right, let's see what AI says. Let's see what AI says right here. Oh, they do have median. They do have median. I forgot. Yeah, they do have median. You guys are right. Oh, holy crap. I missed that. They do have median. Okay, so average is way higher than median. Oh, this makes way more sense. Why didn't you guys tell me that, bro? Guys, let me talk for 5 minutes without looking at it. Okay, so median. So if you're 18, your median is 10,000. And if you're 25, your median's 31,000. Okay, that makes way more sense. Why? Okay, so average is super skewed by that top 1%. The median is a way better way of looking at it. So if you're 35, okay, this makes way more sense. 35, your median's 138. 30, it's 88,000. 25 to 29, 31,000. 50, yeah, because 1.1 million average is still aggressive at 50. 266 is the average. And then 55, 321, 60, 392. That makes way more, it's way more believable. Way more freaking believable. Rutgers, baby. Rutgers. To be fair, I didn't really go to many classes during Rutgers. I freaking enjoyed my life in Rutgers. I partied a lot in Rutgers. Rutgers is a party school. And senior year, granted, we had COVID and all this stuff, but like, I enjoyed my time. There was a semester in junior year when I was rushing my fraternity. I don't think I showed up to class not once. And I remember I had to show up to take that final. And I was like, bro, what is this class about? Like, because I was rushing a fraternity and partying for the past 90 days. I have no idea what the hell this class is about. But thankfully we got through it. In all seriousness though, I'm saying like I didn't go to class a lot, but I was also trying a lot of businesses. I was taking risks. Like in reality, I was just like doing different things, you know, like I was starting my consulting firm. I had to travel for a debate. I had clients that had debate tournaments. I had to like skip some classes to go to debate tournaments and like see if I could. I was a really successful debater, but my reputation from 18 to 22 was being built if I could coach other kids to be really good at debate. And I coached. I mean, dude, one of my kids got to finals of California. The other one won the Texas championship. The other one got to second place in New York. Like, I started really developing my reputation around 2018 as like an actual coach who can, you know, take his skill set and help other students replicate the results I got. And that means I had to skip class a lot, bro. Like, you know, and thankfully I was in the Northeast because a lot of tournaments are in New York and the tri-state area. But that to me was more important, is what I'm trying to say. It was more important than going to accounting class, going to a debate tournament, having a kid win a championship, and then using that to further build my reputation as like a pretty sophisticated coach, even though I was very young. And the ROI on that was way better than going to the accounting class, you know? Yes, I was a master debater. Trust me. Like, you guys need better jokes, bro. Need better jokes. That joke I've heard too many times in my life. So I skipped every class before 11 a.m. Dude, sophomore year, I had 3 classes back to back to back before 11 a.m. I don't know how the hell. So some of those classes I did go to because I wasn't really coaching as aggressively my sophomore year. My junior year, I started coaching more, but yeah, those were not fun when I did go to those classes. Okay, did Hims respond? You guys said Hims responded. I'm going to their Twitter. I don't see a response on their Twitter yet. Let me check their IR page. Let's see if they put out a notice. I don't see anything yet. If anyone gets the link, let me know. Don't see anything yet on him. So my major was business management, which is not a real major. Business management is the most bullshit major anyone could think of. It's more bullshit than marketing, to be honest. At least marketing, you're kind of learning how to like market something. Business management is just like, how do you learn how to manage a business inside of class at 20 years old? Come on, bro. It's nonsense. But it was easy. It was very easy. So I think it's worse than communications, bro. I think communications is more important than business management. Like, people try to shit on gender studies. Dude, business management is the one you should be shitting on. Goodness gracious. Absolute nothing. It's nothing. You learn how to manage a business by managing a business, not by reading about servant leadership. like, come on, bro. We're learning about all these freaking philosophical terms about how to manage a company. It's like, no, when you actually have to fire an employee, or when you actually have to make payroll, or when you actually have to figure out that, you know, you're not going to be able to keep your P&L positive for the next few months because of expenses you have to pay on the cost of capital. Like, that's what it means to manage a business. When you actually have to be consistent every day and show up and do it, you know, that's like not learning about definitions of different types of leadership. Do you talk to your frat brothers still? Some of them. I don't really talk to a lot of people from college, quite frankly. I'd say maybe like 4 or 5 of them. So I'm not really that close to that many people in college anymore. But the few that I talk to, I am good friends with. My girlfriend heard you call out marketing. Dude, it's true. Like, I feel like every marketing major has to agree with me. Dude, I remember the one marketing class I took, they were talking about TV commercials. It was 2018. I'm like, guys, what the hell are we doing talking about TV commercials? Like, we have the internet. What are we studying? We were like studying Coca-Cola's TV commercials. Like, what is this, bro? Like, the world doesn't work on TV commercials anymore. And I just like, it's just like all these business classes are so outdated. And that's part of the reason I didn't like going to class. I was like, dude, like, I'm not going to learn anything that's going to be so substantial. It's going to change my life. Like, I'm a big believer in go to college for the social experience, get, you know, all the fun parts of college, which I enjoyed for 4 years. Obviously, you know, I wouldn't say go into crazy debt just to get the experience. Like, I would have paid hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, but I think the experience is still worthwhile. But while you're in college, remember that it's a transactional relationship. You're paying for the degree. And at the end of the day, the school, as much as they care about the ethics of learning, they don't give a shit. Dude, that's a business. They want to make sure you get the degree so you stay the full 4 years and you pay their tuition, which means in the meantime, you need to find the loopholes of how do you get the degree while also getting actual experiences, which don't come from sitting in the back of a 500-person class. It comes from going out there and taking risks. And it's the most independent time of your life as a young person to take those risks, which is, you know, what I think actually matters. Yeah, even the social media marketing classes in college, though, no college professor can teach you how to market on social media. Like, the marketing on social media, I've spent the past couple of years building a social media brand. Like, the level of dedication and nuance and ups and downs and learning the algorithms and all this, like, there's so much that a college professor is not going to teach you about making a brand on social media, and if anything, turning that into a living. Like, it's very complicated, bro. It's not easy, and most people aren't able to do it. And I don't think you can. There's no formulas. What I'm trying to say, you got to just get out there and start posting and see what works, and, you know, figure out how to build a community. All this stuff. I just think that takes real experience being out there. Amid some schools have professors that have real experience in whatever they're teaching. I'm not saying they don't. I'm not anti-college, by the way. That's not the point of this. I'm saying, I'm sure there's plenty of computer science professors who have worked at big tech companies, gotten their PhDs in computer science. That's fine. I'm just saying, in the context of business, a lot of times these professors are not really the most sophisticated. And again, bro, I mean, come on, bro. Most of them are teaching business, like, unless they're super old and retired, like, they would be running a business. Like, you know, it's a little, you got to be a little skeptical of someone who's 35 or 40 teaching you about business. Like, if they're like 65, 70, because I had some professors who are much older and they run multiple companies and now they're trying to give back by teaching. That's fine. But the ones that are like in their 30s and 40s teaching business, it's like, dude, you should be doing business. You should be teaching business. Like, what are you teaching about? I feel like that's not reasonable. I mean, that's kind of reasonable to expect, at least in the business field, you know? Circles at 288. Why not? See, this is what they don't teach you in business school. They don't teach you in business school that you can buy a stable coin company after it 3Xs from IPO and still make 3X on your money. They don't teach you that. They don't teach you that. They do not teach you that. By the way, in the context of the stock market, and maybe I didn't take the right classes, but never was there a class inside of the business major or like some of the finance major classes I was taking or the management major that actually said, hey, the stock market, like, let's spend a session talking about the stock market. Like, never did we actually focus. Like, when I got out of college and I barely knew what a share of a company even represented. Like, I had to figure it out myself in 2018 when I was buying random stocks on Robinhood. I didn't even know what I was doing, but like, that's where I got introduced to it. And I think I got introduced to it because my buddy told me to like download Robinhood and check it out, not because some professor introduced to me the world of the stock market. If we just had a dedicated class in high school or college about the stock market, I mean, just imagine how much more useful that would be for so many people. Why is VG falling? I don't know. Venture Global is down 7%. I have no idea. I have no idea why VG is down. You went to a horrible school? Maybe, dude. Maybe Rutgers was maybe some of you guys took classes about the stock market, but I mean, Rutgers never. I can't remember a single class where we focused. I took there was never an intro to stocks 101. It wasn't on the curriculum to pick from, and it definitely wasn't embedded into the other classes I took. Because if I did, I feel like I would have, the stock market. But like, as soon as I found out about the stock market, it was like I got addicted. I became a junkie. Like, I got so interested in it. I feel like that would have happened earlier in life, but college definitely didn't set that up. Iran to attack U.S. military bases in coming hours. Iran state media citing senior Iranian officials. Okay, so I think Trump already knows about that. As long as it doesn't meaningfully hurt any U.S. citizens and it doesn't create that much damage, you never know. The United States might just let them get away with it so that we can put an end to this, because They've got to get some of their attacks off. But if it creates some real damage, you're definitely going to have Trump respond to that. Wow, we got a Berkeley Haas student never learned about the stock market in college. That's crazy. Berkeley Haas, or Haas, however you say it, is one of the best business schools in the United States. This is my point, bro. Some of you guys might have had some of the classes talking about, but like even some of the best business schools in America didn't really make an emphasis on teaching kids about the stock market. But in freaking high school, you got to learn about Spanish because that's so important. It's so important to learn, how to call. What did Chris say? How to go to the biblioteca library? Like, dude, I've never used Spanish in my life. What was the point of spending? Imagine the 5 years instead of freaking Spanish, we were learning about the stock market. Like really, what was the point of Spanish? Someone give me the bull case for why I spent time with Mr. Garcia learning about Spanish. And he was a great teacher, awesome guy. But I feel like that time is wasted now looking back on my life. It's not anti-Hispanic. That's nothing to do with being anti-Hispanic. It's just like, goodness, bro, what was the point? Or French or German, what was the point? Like, none of us are like, unless you're getting a job where you need to speak a second language. Like, we all know English. That's kind of all that matters. I'm sorry. You need to know English. Like, everyone across the world is learning English for a reason. You need to know English. Once you know English, you're good. Like, what the hell was the point of learning Spanish, bro? Circle at 291. Dude, what is going on? What is the volume today on Circle? How is Spanish going to help me learn how to analyze Circle? Circle right here, 65 billion. Volume is 42 million. Coinbase market cap is 78 billion. My goodness, bro. Now you know why Amit has issues with Tanner picking Mercado Libre. Yeah, exactly. I forgot I picked Duolingo in my ETF. Yo, okay, that's that. How do I justify? Okay, so I just went on a rant about why learning languages doesn't matter, but my 10th pick was Duolingo in my ETF. How do I get out of this right now? I need to do some mental gymnastics right here. You guys are thinking, when you press deep reasoning on Grok, you're seeing my deep reasoning happen right now to try to figure this out. Okay, how do we do this? So you guys are going to see me bullshit in real time. All right, so language learning, Duolingo language company, Duolingo. Okay, here it is. Duolingo language company, learning language is not important. Duolingo business model around learning languages. Anti-Spanish rant, Duolingo teaches Spanish. Language sophistication would do. Okay, here we go. I came up with it. Here we go. Duolingo teaches chess. There it is. Duolingo teaches chess as well. And music, by the way. And math. So the language part of it, although it matters, there's other things you can learn. And quite frankly, if people stop caring that much about languages and they care more about learning about chess, then there is a massive bull case to Duolingo being the future of education, not just the future of language. So there you go. That's what my LLM came up with. Yeah, I hedged against my own bias. That's a better answer. I hedged against my own bias. So although I think language learning is not that important, I need to hedge against if I was wrong. There you go. No tacos for you. Okay, yeah. I've completely contradicted myself, but still, I can be bullish on other people wanting to learn languages, which is why Duolingo is the app that's growing 40% in terms of their revenues, which is incredible growth, and still be bearish against the fact that high schools are mandating you to learn about languages versus learn about the stock market. Dude, I completely failed at showing you guys my debate skills right there. Sometimes you can't get out of it. Sometimes you get into a little bit of a pickle and you can't get out of it. And that one right there, Tanner got me on that. Tanner said, bro, pick Duolingo. You got me on that. But still, you guys get my point, right? What was the value of learning Spanish? I don't get it. Will Duolingo teach you proper pronunciation? I should actually download the app one day and see if that does. That would be a good idea. Circle is at 292, folks. It is not stopping. It is not stopping. Okay, let's check 300 resistance on Circle. You learn Spanish to get a Latina girlfriend. I feel like you can get a Latina girlfriend without learning Spanish. Like, I don't think that's the only bull case. Bro, this order book flow is ridiculous. Look at this shit, guys. Look at this. What is this? There's barely any resistance or bids. $300 has 5,000 shares. That's nothing. 5,000 shares. Like, the order book flow on this looks ridiculous, and that's probably because there's not a ton of volume on the demand side in the context of getting to different levels would lead to different triggers. I mean, until you get kind of close to, well, it makes sense. Until you get to 285, you barely have 12,000 shares waiting on the demand side. And on the sell side, until you get to 297, you barely have 14,000 shares. That's nothing. Yeah, there has to be some stuff going on in the dark pool. Yeah, exactly. Low volume, big spreads. Yeah, and basically no one is selling. I mean, there's not a wall at all. And given the bid-ask spreads as wide as they are, there's not a decent amount of selling. The Duolingo DD is crazy. I should probably download the app. Okay, bro, I freaking picked the stock because I like their growth. I don't need to know that much about them. I'm going to download the app right now, though, so I can start learning. But honestly, bro, what else could I have picked? What else would I have freaking picked? Like, you wanted me to pick Nike as my last pick? Like, what else was really left as a good pick? If you guys remember, there wasn't that much that was left. There was a bunch of random dividend-paying stocks. At least Duolingo has growth that I can see. I got, dude, 60% user growth, 40% revenue growth. That's not something that's, like, small. Obviously, the stock's at all-time highs, so I get it. But I do think that one a year from now might not be horrible. Why did you download Grindr for research but not Duolingo? Well, because Grindr, I was thinking of legit investing in it. Where is Grindr, by the way? Duolingo, I'm not really thinking of it as an investment. Okay, Grindr's been stuck between 20 and 24 all year, but it's up from 12 when we first started talking about it. So Grindr's still doing okay. Grab right here, 458. That's up 2%. Palantir, 140 right now. Oracle, I didn't have Oracle. Freaking Chris took Oracle. I could have got Oracle earlier, but I missed that one. I took JP Morgan over Oracle. Where's JP Morgan? JP Morgan, 274. My entry price into JP Morgan is 270, so I'm up on that. Yo, Nebius also is hurting me right here. I probably shouldn't have picked Nebius. There could have been better picks than Nebius. Netflix was available, but I did not want to pick Netflix at $1,250. Granted, Netflix wasn't available as my last pick, but I could have picked it earlier. Steve took Netflix. Circle is about to hit 300, folks. Oh my goodness. This is what they don't teach you in business school. This is what they don't teach you in freaking business school. I don't know why VG is down today, guys. I'll ask Chris before the market close, maybe get some thoughts from him, but I have no idea why VG is down today. Dude, Circle's about to hit 300 in front of us. It's about to freaking hit 300 in front of us. Farzad, I'm about to drive down to Austin to get some more Robotaxi auction. Dude, we got to get your take on this eventually. We got to have you on the close and see what I saw all your videos, but it looked pretty cool, bro. It looked pretty cool. Seeing you guys out there. It really did look like the future is here. Tesla 353 down from 357. HIMS still down 30%, folks. No one's buying this HIMS dip yet. AMD also falling from 132. SoFi, a little green. Googs 165, that's still down. And then Hoodie 77. Circle is the big winner of the day at 297. Do we buy puts, bro? Like, do we buy puts? This is getting a bit ridiculous. Circle has a higher market cap than Hood. No way. No freaking way. Circle market cap 67. Hood 68. Okay, so Hood's still up by $1 billion, but in a couple of seconds, it looks like Circle is going to take the crown. Dude, this is pretty aggressive. This is pretty freaking aggressive. I wouldn't short it though, because like, first of all, there's not enough shares to borrow because a lot of it's still, remember, there's a 6-month lockup period with the insiders. So in 6 months, if they get to dump, which I think they are salivating to dump at these prices, you know, if we hold these levels, I'm sure they're going to take some profits. But number two is that, you know, stable coins have a lot of tailwinds behind them. And that could be helping. You don't need Duolingo anymore. Generative AI will speak to you and teach you any language all day long. So I've heard this as the bear case for Duolingo, but then Duolingo keeps growing. And so until I see something hurting their growth, I don't know if AI is a bear case for Duolingo. Same thing with Grab. People are like, oh, well, I'm in Singapore. I don't like using it. I'm like, okay, I get your experience and I respect it. But all I'm seeing is top line growth of 20% and adjusted EBITDA growth of 50%. So I get you may not have had the best experience. But until the numbers show me otherwise, like, how am I supposed to say that this is not growing? Like, I see the growth. It's like people say, oh, I don't like using Instagram. It's like, okay, cool. But like Meta is still growing. Meta is doing 40 billion in revenue every quarter. So you might not like Instagram or might not like Facebook. But, you know, the numbers are pointing that on an aggregate basis, the growth is there. So I don't know if that's necessarily the worst thing for Duolingo. And again, they're using AI. That's also true. Again, I don't own the stock, but I do think a year from now, hopefully they'll do better than where I got them at. Rexy, thank you for the 20 super chat. Hey, Amit, I'm one of your first 10 YouTube subscribers. I invested in Palantir since DPO sold Hood and SoFi Forward and recently sold 20% to fund my retirement. Now researching for the next 10X and think QXO could be it. Rexy, first of all, thank you for being here for all these years. Really means a lot. Appreciate the super chat and appreciate you being here, and congrats on Palantir. Obviously that one has worked out very well. And congrats on retiring as well. QXO, I've heard about this name. I don't know enough about them. I actually have a buddy of mine who was texting me about it a couple months ago. I can't even tell you what they do. I don't know enough about them. But this is a name that has gotten some love. Is this stock up year to date? Year to date, QXO. Yeah, it's up 50%. Probably should have listened to my buddy. He works in the space. He's also one of Steve's friends, and that's how I got connected to him. I will take a deeper look into this one. I'll put it on the list. Maybe there's something here that we have to look into. WhatsApp is now barred from all house devices due to data transparency issues and encryption gaps per a cybersecurity memo. Is Meta down on that? That's not good for Meta. Meta's up 1.3. Meta doesn't care. You know, I would imagine the house only uses Signal. I would think they don't even use WhatsApp, Telegram, all that stuff. I feel like they would only use Signal, even though Pete Hegseth has showed us that Signal isn't necessarily the easiest way to get out of a controversy. But still, that makes sense to me that WhatsApp's probably not being used as much there. Amit, do you have any life other than staying online 24 hours every day? It's a good question. It's a really good question. The answer, quite frankly, is no. But it's a good question. Palantir right here below 140, Tesla 353. I don't see the HIMS response, by the way. For everyone saying HIMS has responded, where is this response? Because I don't see it. They don't have any tweet, any PR. I don't see anything. So I don't think they've officially given a response yet. Oscar, how's that one doing? Tesla again, 353. Oscar still red. Oscar tried to, you know what's taking Oscar down? I think HIMS is taking Oscar down. Because Oscar was compared to HIMS as being like the next high-flying name. And I think some people are looking at HIMS and being like, hey, maybe I need to learn more about the stock I invest in, because anything could happen that I'm not aware of and it could drop 30%. Because you definitely had a lot of people buy HIMS purely just, you know, because FinTwit was talking about it. So maybe that could be dogging down Oscar. Also, UNH below 300 is not helping the broader insurance sector right now. Mid is writing 15 pages essays about Grab over the weekend. Yeah, that's what I was doing. That's also what I did over the weekend. No, dude, in reality, like, you know, when people say you don't have a life, you're constantly streaming all day. This is the grind, bro. This is to an extent my journey of like the reason I have any of the opportunities I have in life is because of, you know, working. I mean, like people have a 9 to 5, right? My 9 to 5 is streaming. And although it sometimes is less than 8 hours, sometimes more than 8 hours, like it is work at the end of the day. It's something that I love to do, which I'm incredibly grateful for and like beyond blessed to be able to do it. And it doesn't even feel like work, but it is work. You know, you got to wake up every day and go to work. And this is my version of doing it. Epic levels of cope. It's just a different type of work, you know? And I've been through the work where I have to go drive 60 miles up and down to go to an office. And like, even though I had a consulting firm, their office was 60 miles away from me and they were my biggest client. So I would have to drive to them pretty much 4 or 5 days a week for like 2 years. And it kind of felt like a job, even if it wasn't a job. Like I didn't have a W-2, I wasn't getting healthcare, but I was being treated as a 1099 contractor, but it still was work. So I've been through that grind and I know what it feels like to drive every single day, come home at 11 p.m., you know, get ready to wake up, all that stuff. And it's just, this is a different version of how that plays out. Did Trump tweet again? Did Trump tweet again? Oh boy, goodness gracious. This is a big tweet. All right, here we go, folks. Here we go. From Trump. Did I hear from the former president of Russia casually throwing around the N-word, parentheses, nuclear? I'm happy he clarified that. And saying that he and other countries would supply nuclear warheads to Iran? Holy crap. Did he really say that, or is that just a figment of my imagination? If he did say that, if confirmed, please let me know immediately. The N-word should not be treated so casually. I guess that's why Putin's the boss. By the way, if anyone thinks our hardware was great over the weekend, far and away the strongest and best equipment we have, 20 years advanced over the pack is our nuclear submarines. They are the most important and lethal weapons ever built and just launched 30 Tomahawks. All 30 hit their mark perfectly. So in addition to our great fighter planes, thank you to the captain and the crew. Bro, who is he talking to? He said, it's like he's talking like he's saying, did I hear that Putin's talking about giving nuclear warheads to Iran? Like when he's saying that, he's obviously implying that he has some intelligence, unless he watched this on Fox News or something, that Putin's thinking of giving nuclear warheads, which, by the way, if Putin's actually thinking of that, this is going to get a little bit more interesting, to say the least. Because, and this is what I've been saying for the past 3 weeks. The past 3 weeks, I've been saying Russia and China have not stood up and said, we have Iran's back. As soon as they do that, if they do that, which I don't think they will, but if they do that, and if they go so far as to give one of their thousands of nuclear warheads to little Iran, I mean, this becomes a much different story. Because if Iran actually has a nuke supplied by the Russians, guess what? We're not going to bomb their nuclear facilities again. We're not doing that because they might actually use that nuke. And that is the ultimate form of deterrence. Like that, I don't think we easily get to just throw around bunker busters at that point. Oh, yeah. He's saying it from, okay, so the former president, not Putin, is what he's implying, is who he's implying said that today. However, I mean, if there's any intel connected to Putin, that's obviously coming from the top. But he did say, did the former president of Russia casually throw around the N-word? Okay, so that's actually, there is a little bit of a nuance there, right? Because the former president of Russia, like Obama could be saying whatever he wants right now. That's not something you could take as seriously, right? Because he's not the president anymore. But Trump putting this out kind of is him either taunting the former president, or it's more so him implying, hey, Putin, you better not listen to the former president and get any ideas about this. He's still part of the Russian government. Okay, so even if he's not the former president, let me put his name right here. Medvedev. I'm definitely saying his name wrong. Yeah, now he's the deputy chairman of the Security Council of the Russian Federation, even if he's not president anymore. So he's still part of the government. I mean, Trump's saying it's not like this guy, it's not like this guy's Obama that has no connections anymore to the government. He's still part of the Russian government saying this. I agree it smells like a nothing burger, which is why the market's not reaction, but it is kind of wild that Trump's putting that out there and implying that Russia could be thinking about something like this. So, I don't know. I made thoughts on Micron earnings. I think Micron will be fine. They are up 40% year to date, though. So, Micron right here going red. They just need to have a good earnings. Rutgers education. Oh my, well, look, the point is, look, if he's still part of the government and he's saying this stuff, Trump throwing this out there is a little weird. It is a little weird. This was news yesterday. Well, Trump's tweeting it today. So Worst case, Medvedev is giving North Korea cover to give one of theirs to Iran. Dude, North Korea last night, they freaking put out a statement. Hold on, let me pull it up. North Korea said, North Korea said, we strongly condemn the U.S. strike on Iran. That's kind of funny, North Korea putting this up. But they did say that. Qatar has closed its airspace until further notice. Okay, so you got some Middle Eastern countries saying we're going to take a little bit of precautions here in terms of how this is going to play out. We talked about this. A senior Iranian political source says Iran is likely to attack U.S. military facilities in the coming hours, from Iranian state media. And now you have Trump tweeting about these nuclear warheads, technically, or theoretically, be given to Iran. I don't think Russia's going to give them nukes, bro. I think that's way too far. And Russia's been trying, quote unquote, to find an agreement to end the Ukraine war, and they've been working with Trump. They haven't been successful yet, but if he gives a nuclear warhead, like there's no, like our relationship with Russia it's complete. If there was any resemblance of protecting it, it's done. If they give Iran nukes. So I kind of don't think that's going to happen. But it's so weird, Trump putting this out there. It's like he's taunting the Russian government to not think of doing it, which begs the question, why? Is he actually scared they're going to do it, right? Like, or is he just bored? Like, putting out a tweet like this is it's just trying to figure out what his motivation is behind this. AMD right here, 129, Palantir 140. Where's Circle? Is it still pumping? Circle is 292. Okay. All right. So we got some update from Russia. Russia's foreign minister asked whether Iran has requested military assistance. We are working with Iranian officials in various areas. It would be irresponsible to disclose details of this cooperation. Dude, I'm just saying this is why Trump might have tweeted what he tweeted. If the Russian foreign minister right now is saying we are working with the Iranians in various areas, it would be irresponsible to disclose the details. He could be bullshitting and basically trying to, say we're working with them, but in reality, they're not working with them. Or, and again, I don't think it's going to happen, but based on this Trump tweet, there could be an argument that maybe there is that slim possibility that they might be supplying them with military weapons, potentially a nuke. Again, I don't think that's going to happen. But Trump putting that out there feels like a little bit of a warning to them to make sure that it doesn't happen. Putin will run with it to troll a little bit. I mean, yeah, dude. I mean, for Putin, this feels great, right? Like Putin should feel like, okay, the United States is scared of us potentially helping Iran. That keeps, keeps everyone on their toes. So from his perspective, geopolitically, it's not like the craziest idea to get the United States to be afraid of this. But will they actually give them a nuke? I don't think so. I don't think so. Iran won't get nukes. They would get Hiroshima before that happens. Do you think we would drop a nuke on Iran? I don't think we would do it, bro. We haven't dropped a nuke since Hiroshima and Nagasaki. I don't think Trump would do it. Like, as wild as Trump is, I don't think he would drop a nuke. Granted, I don't think the situation would get that escalated to the point where they have to drop a nuke. I don't think that would be the case. But if it did, I still don't think we would do that. Like, dude, we dropped a nuke on Japan to ultimately end World War II. Like, that was like the implications of that nuke was far greater than Iranian state media putting out statements teasing the United States every day and then threatening to enrich their uranium. Like, I just feel like that is incomparable to what was happening in World War II with Japan. So, dude, they would kill 100,000 people. And the nukes back then, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, I believe it killed over 100,000 people. The nukes back then are not as powerful as the nukes today. So you would imagine, kill a lot more people. There's 92 million people in Iran, 17 million in the capital, Tehran. So wouldn't be the best of ideas. SPY was at all-time highs when we dropped the nuke in 1945. Really? Really? I don't know. I want to go look back at the stock market during that time. Obviously, World War II was a big stimulus to the entire global economy because we were building so many things at the time. I didn't know the S&P was at all-time highs at the time at that moment. It is pretty crazy. Respect to Amit talking about current topics, unlike the Olin Pod. Okay, so the Olin Pod got a lot of hate about not talking about Israel, Russia, Iran, the United States, all that stuff. I mean, their comments were just horrible. Now, look, I'm not a geopolitical expert. I talk about it in connection with the market. I react to what Trump says. I try to give some take that I have. Some people are pissed off at what I say. Some people think that what I'm saying is appropriate. Some people think it's clueless. Some people think it's reasonable analysis. I try to be as reasonable as I can. I have no dog in this fight. I'm not trying to take a side. And then to prove that, I can say that, hey, I don't want Iran to have a nuke, but at the same time, Israel should disclose that they have a lot of nukes. It makes no sense for Israel to have all these nukes and they get to have nukes and never disclose it to the rest of the world, but then police everyone about not having nukes. But at the same time, I don't want Iran to have a nuke. And that's kind of been my tone over the past couple of weeks in terms of trying to keep a balanced perspective here on what's going on. Having said that, the Olin Pod didn't even talk about it. They were talking about Google and IPOs, and their comments destroyed them, bro. Their comments were like, how could you guys not talk about what's going on in the world right now as one of the leading business and technology podcasts on the planet? And quite frankly, their comments deserve to be mad, because if they're going to be political about everything when it's politically beneficial for them, right? Like when David Sachs can talk about all the things about politics because things are going in the right direction for the Trump administration. But then when things start going a little south and MAGA starts turning a little iffy on this idea of getting into another war. And by the way, last week, all three of them on the podcast said, we do not want to be going into Iran. And what do we do on Sunday, last night or Saturday? We ended up attacking them. It's kind of weird to not address it. So I do think their audience is definitely not going to be happy about that. Nonetheless, it is a hard topic to talk about. So I get it. It is hard to talk about. Bay Ray says he officially got the Robinhood Gold Card. A lot of people are getting that Robinhood Gold Card. We'll talk about it more tonight on the Tech Bros podcast. But, dude, I think they gave out another 100,000, or at least another 50,000 gold cards last week, because a ton of people were tweeting that they officially got their cards. So it is scaling up. Fear and greed at 55. That is correct. We are below greed. We are now at neutral. Robinhood right here, 77. Tessie, 352. Tessie losing a little bit of steam from 357, but it was at 350, which means we are still up about 10% on the day. Dude, how is it 11:45 already, bro? It's almost freaking 12 p.m., dude. What I mean by yapping, bro. Like, you just yap away the morning. Goodness, bro. Is it almost 12 p.m.? All right, let's get a little bit of an update right here on Israel, Iran as well.
Military, and today chose a new type of target. The Israeli Defense Ministry saying that now it is bombing what it describes as regime repression locations. So Israel attacked the Evin prison in Tehran. That is where some political prisoners are housed. That is seen as an attempt to either create chaos in society, create problems with the regime. It has bombed the access roads to the Fordow nuclear power facility. It has bombed the Basij headquarters. Now, the Basij are a military unit linked to the Revolutionary Guard that are largely used to suppress domestic dissent. So Israel is widening its targets, and now it attacked the police station. It is attacking the instruments of power that the Iranian regime uses to stay in power. And that's a significant shift, Carl.
So, Richard, as best you can read it, what do you think the Israelis' objectives are from here?
Regime change. They have the Iranians against the ropes. They're hitting very hard. This is something that Israel has wanted to do. Most Israelis seem resigned to the fact that this is going to continue. I was speaking to an Israeli woman today, and they said better now than later, that it is better to attack Iran when it doesn't have a nuclear weapon, when the U.S. is with them, when Iran doesn't have its proxies, than later on when Iran might have a nuclear material, a nuclear weapon, I should say, and might have been able to rebuild its regional alliances. The government says officially that it is not seeking regime change. Prime Minister Netanyahu says that that's officially not the policy, but he keeps talking about the possibility of killing Iran's supreme leader. And And then today they're taking away Iran's ability to control the streets. So it certainly looks like regime change. And the big question is that the same objective that the Trump administration has?
Yeah, maybe prompt some sort of uprising from the people. Richard, thank you very much for the report in Tel Aviv this afternoon. Meantime, the Department of Homeland Security here issuing a new warning saying, quote, low-level cyber attacks against U.S. networks by pro-Iranian hacktivists are likely. Joining us to discuss is Sanaz Yashar,
All right, there you go. That's the update we got in the context of Iran, Israel. Looks like this is going to continue. Markets are not affected by it. Tesla's up 10%, but overall, it does not look like this is ending anytime soon. All right, I think that's it. I think we end up the market open here. We'll be back on the close. Overall summary to this market open is that Tesla is loved by the market for Robotaxis. Hims is hated by the market for losing the Novo partnership. Google still can't catch a bid. Palantir continues to be in this 135 to 140 range. And then everything else basically flat. Everything else basically flat. And then the other, of course, summaries that circle. You know, why not? Should be heading to $300. So that's what we got. That's what we got today. It's a pretty incredible market, bro. Pretty incredible to see kind of the extremes on each end, but nonetheless, I think all we can care about is that the broader market, characterized by the S&P, is not really going up, not going down, but it is not seen as super bearish from all the geopolitical stuff we've got going on. And the other summary to this market close is that high schools should teach business and not languages. Even if you're bullish on Duolingo, high schools should teach about the stock market. Like, could you imagine if you got to learn about the stock market in 9th grade and then you graduated in 12th grade, 4 years of like advanced lessons about the stock market versus learning how to speak Spanish or French or something? I'm just like, I just feel like how is it not obvious? So many more Americans would be so much more educated about finances. Like, it just, because like, I just don't think most of us are going to use another language. I don't know how that's crazy. I'll talk to Chris about VG. I have no idea why VG's down. I'll ask him. Wow, 9%. What did they say, bro? Is it oil prices? Because oil prices are up today. That shouldn't be bad for them. I feel like it's something specific about VG. But this one is getting hit. Yo, Duolingo should teach finance. That's a great idea. They're already teaching chess and math and music. Obviously, language is their big thing, but finance, they should go down that route as well. That's another reason I like the name, bro. It's just an education platform with network effects that is really good at user retention. And, you know, hopefully that means AI will be an accelerant for them over the future. Hims right here, 43.89, down 31%. Tessie 354, up about 10%. Palantir 139. Robin at 77. Googs still down 1.2%. Tried to recover, is not recovering. Palantir 139, and then the S&P 596.15 on the day. Word of the day. What do we got? Monday morning. This is a weird one, but let's see. Word of the day. Pugilistic.
Pugilistic.
Oh, well, there you go. Got that wrong. Pugilistic. Anyone heard this word? Inclined or eager to fight. In group projects, the student's pugilistic attitude made dealing with him feel like an assignment in and of itself. The blackbird became very pugilistic if you approached its nest. Combines the Latin root pugil, meaning a fist fighter, and then istic. Has anyone heard about this? Pugilistic, eager to fight? I've never heard of this Latin root word, pugil, meaning a fist fighter. Of or related to boxing. It was recorded in 1770. Pugilistic. Yeah, the U.S. obviously went pugilistic with Iran. You heard it all the time? I've never heard this word, pugilistic. I kind of like this word. How do you spell this? Is there a J? No, it's a G. That's why I said pugilistic. Because if I Google that, yeah, there's a ton of boxing stuff I see as soon as I Google it. Immediately I get boxing from it. This is an SAT vocab word. Dude, I remember one word from the SAT. One word. And I use this word so many times. And the word is Byzantine. Now, most people say Byzantine, like the Byzantine Empire. I like saying Byzantine because Byzantine sounds cooler. And it means complex. It means intricate or complex. And when I learned this word, I would, in my senior year of high school, dude, I would use it in everything. Everything. When you would have to write a new essay, the first word of my essay would be like, the Byzantine, blah, 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 blah. I'd be my friends. I'd be like, yo, this is super Byzantine. They'd be like, what the hell are you saying? I'd be like, what do you mean it's Byzantine? They're like, what are you talking about? Like, it's complex, bro. They're like, then say complex. What are you saying Byzantine? I wasn't even saying it right, but still. It was one of my favorite words. It's a cool way to say something's complicated. All right, cool. So that's it. Pugilistic, that's the word of the day. I think that's all we got. I'll talk to Chris about UNH and VG and try to get his thoughts because I have no idea why they're selling off as aggressively as they are right now. And yeah, we'll go deeper from there. Amit should do the Duolingo English sort. I downloaded the app now, so yo, low key doing the Duolingo English course to like learn how to speak English. Not the worst idea for me. Not the worst idea. All right, cool. So that's it. We'll be back on the market close. We'll see how HIMS goes from here, and if this one continues to get hit down about 30%. If anyone buys the dip or if this stays at these levels, Palantir 139.87, Tesla holding on to 350 would be incredible. Nvidia right here 143, Robinhood 77.28, Palantir 139.88, and then the S&P 596.05 on the day. All right, that's it. Thank you, everybody. Monday morning. Appreciate everyone. We'll be back on the market close in a few hours. Bye, everyone. Have a good one.